Here we go.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
O'clock on this Thursday, May 19th, 2022. Thank you, friends, for joining us. Hope your day has gone great. And Matt, I don't know how much trouble I'll tell you also why I was a little tad late today. I like to get in, to put my feet up, sip some coffee. No, that's not true. But I'm going to take you, and if you can find it, we need to. Last week when we jinxed it and said maybe the last snow had come. Now you just heard from meteorologist Don Day that we apologize. No, I apologize. Matt had nothing to do with it. But I did ask you. I did say what I'm about to say. And I said, I think we've had the final snow of the season. I'm near 90 today in spots, and tomorrow we're not even going to reach 50 in spots. So welcome. As we continue, I think we're heading toward the end of our second full week of our 710 KNUS YouTube simulcast. Great news yesterday that we're on our way up. We're now about 10 viewers. Is great. So thank you. Our number 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. The website. Welcome to our potential global audience listening live stream wherever you are, and thank you. It's very, very nice. Don't get me wrong, and I appreciate it, but it's very, very nice. Over the last few days, share of hate, you're upset. What's her face said yesterday, the woman who is at any given day a different name, but it's not fooling us because her voice is very distinctive. I don't know. She told us yesterday, if you missed it, that you're obsessed. It was on the radio than yours. I'm just thinking, why are you listening then? But I have a feeling she's listening because, as I said yesterday, she can't quit me. Nope. Is speaking of obsessed, I mean, too obsessed if you listen to something consistently. Anyhow, over the course of getting hate and I hate your show and you're terrible and all of that, overwhelming majority of love or frankly indifference. But over it's been a very busy week, and with the serious story surrounding Danielle Jurinsky, a lot of very kind emails coming in as well. So and texts, certainly, and email, and I understand that. So thank you. But we do not have a slow show today. This is a busy one, and I'm really looking forward toward the end of next hour. So right ahead of 5 o'clock. We're going to try, and it's really not technologically just so hard. We have to clear hurdles. But as many of you know, I'm a big fan of space. We are big space fans on this program. We tout and we thank. This state has been, with all of the negative, with negative Denver and Decay, greater Denver and Decay area, the shootings, the crime, the murders, the stabbings, the rapes, the car theft, the catalytic converter getting ripped off. Here is a positive that both, believe it or not, Republicans and Democrats would agree in this state, that the emerging space industry in Colorado is alive and well. Thank you very much. Delay, or you know how they sometimes, we got to hold. But just before +5 Starliner OFT-2 is set to lift off. And I love this stuff. So we're going to try to take that live. It'll be lifting off. And here is how I am so amazed. Maybe I do math and I hate numbers, and I could do numbers until they started adding letters. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm out. This algebra thing. I mean, he was a really nice guy. Hell, isn't it like the something of something sides? And listen, if you know, we don't need to know. I don't care. I kind of do. You know who my algebra teacher was in high school? Never forget this guy. Why? Hand to God, his name was Furry. Mr. Furry. And that was not like you spell it like Fury. No, he had a big old beard. His last name was Furry. Anyway, he taught me the Pythagorean theorem. Anyway, I'm so excited. You can't tell. So they have this down. These men and women are so freaking smart, and it blows me away. At 4:54 and 47 seconds, Starliner, made by Boeing, is set to lift off. So we're going to do our best to bring it to you live. Well, we will bring it to you live. It's just whether or not, there are any holds. And this is from United Launch Alliance, which is headquartered right in the tech center in Centennial. And nobody's listening now because it's launch day. And I just want to say thanks to those folks, because a woman named Julie in their communication, let's just roll the dice and see if we can get somebody on. Well, very kind, and send an email back. We'd love to work with you guys. Going, go! Appreciate that. So if you are a fan of space, stay with us. That's just before 5 o'clock. Plenty to talk about ahead of time. But just to wrap up on the space, it is truly an industry that is becoming more and more significant. I know those of you along 36, the Turnpike, and in Broomfield, there's a lot of space programs. I still think, and I don't know, I've been told by certain people fairly high up in the military that the moving, where did that go to? Alabama, I believe. While it was political, and Trump, remember, interview within the last couple of years, it was toward the end of his presidency, that this was his decision and his decision alone. Maybe a little bit of politics involved. There is still a significant amount of space with the, obviously, public-private partnerships. And of course, let's not forget up here in the Denver area, you got Schriever, and you've got Peterson, and you've got Fort Carson, and you've got Buckley Space Command, Space Base, or whatever they call it. No disrespect to anybody connected there. But still so important when it comes to this type of, my excitement about launch, bring you live. By the way, nobody's on there, unmanned. Every kind of step right now is a step closer to me, moon. Don't know. I don't know if it's my lifetime or yours, but a truly solid, significant, we, corny as it may sound to you as we start the program, my hair stands on end. So far away, and wow. So there you go. Again, our number 303-696-1971. President, it is a perfect time, even if this is, and these things don't happen over. President, where Matt, do you know off the top of your head, where the hell is Biden? He's going, I mean, why? You're so mean. This is why. South Korea and Japan. Thank you. Visits to South Korea and Japan have to happen right now. Deal about this yesterday. And many of you that maybe formerly from California, or you're from California, you used to live there, and you're California, because we're California's little brother. But the average gallon of gas in California is, I think as of yesterday, was just a tick more, like it was $6.05, I think is the average gallon in California. And for the first time this week, if you missed it when we were talking about it briefly on yesterday's program, for the first time in our history, a gallon of gas was more than $4 a gallon in all 50. Elections have consequences. Yes, so yes. Is the amount of love how he, this is such a joke. The total population of the United States, and then I think somebody told him it was a good idea, some economist, and somebody that they're Democrat, and because they love Joe Biden, they may not be smart, but they took the total population of the United States, then divided that by the amount of people who are sucking off the government teat right now. And the president, even earlier today on social media, or whomever does his social media, says that number is now less than 1% of the population since 1969. I've told you multiple times over the years together, I don't do math, I don't do numbers, and I am proud to admit it because I leave that to other folks like you. However, fuzzy math. I do know fuzzy math. Not furry, fuzzy. There are still a lot of people, my goodness, friends, some of our sponsors, this company is hiring out there that are not working this just in, and people still on unemployment. All of them, we criticize all of them because they're late, they just don't want to work, or you know what, I'll just fill out a fake application, or and apply for something once a week. I'll check in, whether it's online or I don't know if you talk to anybody. Especially post-pandemic. Are we still in the pandemic? Has anybody declared it officially over? Like on the way to work today. God, hand to God story. And Quincy. Going northbound on Parker, and I'm stopped at the light at Quincy. Your lane, Matt, I swear to God, this I wish I would take it. There is I see something kind of like doing a tumbleweed type motion in the wind. I look over, and it is one single, just blowing in the wind in one of Aurora's most busy intersections. And honest to goodness, friends, I looked at that little black mask blowing in the wind and then get run over by the cars that were turning. I'm like, ways that we can then tell our grandkids, and they will much rather probably, be playing their. But Tubbs is talking again about. Put one up during our next break. It has something to do with this, but not directly. And we did a story from our partners at CBS News that some dude in Wisconsin every day for the past 50 years, closing in on 33,000 max. And he said he hopes to eat at least Big Macs a day additionally until the day he dies. Does he realize that could be tomorrow? Decided because, and it doesn't matter, but if you're on YouTube, I'm addicted to diet from McDonald's. So I went and bought Matt a big yesterday. I had said in the last 30 years, I had probably had, and I'm not trying to, maybe not as much as you do, but I said, I bet you in the last 30 years, I've had, and that may be one too many. And you had honestly said, for you, you're just early into your early 30s. How many have you had, you said? Enjoy. So I brought Matt a Big Mac. And I'm not asking you to say thank you, so you better not, because that's not why I brought it in. But I'm like, you know what? Well, I'm going to stop in. I'm going to get my Diet Coke. I'm going to give Matt was it Mac right now? You know what? Spent about 17 minutes talking about absolutely nothing. More about the storm that is coming. Segment, I will tell you what we will not be doing and how we will not label what is ahead for you on the radio station until, roughly 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Later on in the program, in fact, or we'll check in with our friends up at the National Weather Service in Boulder to just see where it's coming from. I think I have heard you can blame Alaska for this. So if our friend who listens in Alaska, blame you in your new state after you moved from Colorado to Alaska. He said he was going to Ketchikan yesterday, texted me. He says, I'm going into the big city. So we had to get on the ferry or the boat. And he said, Ketchikan, the big city, has one street light, one stoplight. Up at about 4:30, we will talk with 5:30. At 30, we will from CBS 4 and talk about that. And I have a feeling already because, look, nothing against Dave and CBS 4, but this is kind of, when you got a day like today, almost 90, and then tomorrow could snow, or tomorrow night into Saturday. Yes, of course, we've seen that. We see this all the time. In fact, I think it's funny because either Dave's or the GOAT, and I don't mean greatest of all time. No, he's going to be flooded with the emails. You suck. Ask that. So we'll talk with Dave at 5:30, but the National Weather Service coming up in our 4. When we come back, I'll tell you what we will again not do with this radio station. And also I want to visit a story that I was unaware of until Matt had on me later in the show yesterday. Joe Biden, speaking of the president on the road to Japan and South Korea, it's perfect time. Everything's here on the home front. Nothing about inflation. Don't worry about it. Things will get better. It's all Trump's fault. This week that came out about Joe Biden on Twitter. The official presidential Twitter account is at POTUS. OTUS. As he thinks. And a couple of other stories. We'll get to traffic and weather coming up around the corner. Finland and Sweden officially submitting their applications to become members of NATO. Just keep in mind, Finland shares a border with Russia. Really happy you're with us. I know you got a lot of radio choices out there and a lot of listening options. So, thank you for any time that you give us. As mentioned, a look at traffic and weather coming up, and then that liner Atlas 5, the live launch, will bring you just before 5 o'clock. So a lot of great stuff. And of course, your phone calls, texts, emails, social media interaction. And don't forget to log into our YouTube channel. If you are facing hair loss and looking for a solution that works, do yourself a favor. Your free consultation with Advanced Hair Restoration today. Find out if that hairline or thinning hair you've been maybe ignoring or dealing with, find out if that is in fact optional. Imagine the relief just knowing that a full head of hair is a real possibility. At Advanced Hair, they've got a 1-day treatment that begins growing in your own natural hair the very next day. It's backed by their industry-leading guarantee as well. Decades of hair loss in just 1 day. And if you have been in that boat, incredible. Advanced Hair always makes it the perfect time to pursue your needs right now because, again, the next day, your natural hair is growing on its own. Do yourself a favor. Set up that free consultation. Right now, if you choose to move forward, you're also going to receive $250 and 250 free hair grafts. 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Their process is so incredibly simple, making the call just may be the hardest part. Again, 720-459-HAIR, or check out the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
Go I-25 northbound running pretty heavy between Broadway all the way up to Colfax, southbound slow from Alameda down to University. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Spring into spring hiring with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey everybody, Randy Corcoran back Saturday with the warm-up show for the Republican Rumble at the Grizzly Rose. I'm planning on open lines all show long. Lots of people have reached out to me regarding the Dick Wadhams Hour last week. Grab the Hour 3 podcast if you haven't heard it yet. That and so much more. It's you and me, baby, Saturday.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, Saturdays from 9 to noon on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's springtime in the Rockies. Come and explore beautiful Carbon County, Wyoming. There's no better time of year to enjoy the natural mineral hot springs in Saratoga. Soak your bones
the ULA channel right now?
pool, free to the public and open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For information and directions, visit WyomingCarbonCounty.com or call 324-3020. Carbon County, Wyoming. Get your West on.
Get the inside scoop on weather happenings across the region with the Day Weather Podcast to get the inside story on what is really happening with weather patterns and climate across the Rockies and High Plains.
As long as I've got something that we could go to, is there anything there?
Of what is going on with the weather and why. The Day Weather Podcast will give you insights on what drives our weather and climate without the hype and misrepresentation so common today. Find the Day Weather Podcast on iTunes, dayweather.com, and many other podcast platforms.
Listen now, and your bank account will thank you. Hi, George Brockler here. I'm blown away by the program my friend and realtor Gay Ribble, the Ribble Group, Keller Williams Realty DTC, has launched. Sell your home and pay zero commission. Yes, you can list your home with the Ribble Group, get full service, and the buyer will pay all of the commission. I've talked a lot about how Gay Ribble has the buyers. Well, now Gay has the buyers willing to pay all of the commission so you can net more money. You can sell your home now by matching your home to one of her buyers who will pay the commission for you. With interest rates on the rise, you're going to want to act quickly. The Ribble Group's zero commission program makes it easy, matching your home to one of their buyers who will pay all the commission. To learn more about the zero commission program, call the Ribble Group at 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or visit Gay, spelled Gaye, hasthebuyers.com. That's gayhasthebuyers.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. We've heard a lot from the left about disinformation in recent years, and no wonder. It's a term with Marxist origins. In fact, the original disinformation office was created by none other than Joseph Stalin. Indeed, it was Stalin who inspired George Orwell's Ministry of Truth. Now the Biden administration has assembled its own disinformation governance board. Nina Jankowicz has been tapped as the new board's leader. Jankowicz has disseminated false or misleading information about subjects including the Russiagate hoax, Hunter Biden's laptop, and masking during COVID. The Biden administration insists the new board's mission is to combat disinformation. But based on its leader's record, the office seems less prepared to defend against disinformation than to spread it, just like the Marxist prototype. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
The Pepperdine Public Policy, America's unique graduate program for leaders. Learn more at publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
The Pentagon sending Ukraine another big weapons shipment. More coming up in our next news update right here on News Talk 710.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
On the program, we've got the National Weather Service coming up for the official forecast coming up next hour, and it'll be in the first segment of the 4 o'clock. And then our friend of the program, longtime friend of mine, meteorologist Dave Aguilera, he joins us coming up about 5:30, and we'll talk about the weather, and we blame Alaska. Speaking of which, my friend Jeff did just text me, and he is in Alaska now, Colorado. And I'll say our friend of the program, Senator, now former state Senator Chris Holbert, is soon to be a Florida resident and had nothing to do with the my friend Jeff moved to Alaska because of the state which he had enough of. But he wanted me to give out a shout out, and I don't do this a lot, but you know what? Jeff's a good man. Apparently, we have a listener, and he goes by U-Turn Dawn. U-Turn Dawn. I don't know if Dawn has been in traffic. I care, but I don't care how he got the nickname U-Turn Dawn. So U-Turn Dawn. Or are you turned on? Hell. Welcome, even if your name is not U-Turn.
Roger will have more. He just mentioned what the Senate did today. It was an 86-11 vote. The United States Senate passed earlier today a let's just call it 40 billion, $39.8 billion Ukraine aid package in the form of a bill. It now goes to the president's desk. Once again, I never want to be a hypocrite. It's a trait that I try to avoid at all costs, and a trait in the human makeup that I cannot stand. So I cannot be a hypocrite and say, I don't want any U.S. boots on the ground, no more far-off wars in some far-off land. So I can't be a hypocrite and say, my God, that's a lot of money. And at the same time, my God, that is a lot of money. As long as this keeps our men and women out of this, I guess I can't complain. Speaking of the weather, I wanted to tell you what we will not be doing. And I have been guilty by association, most certainly many years of my career, literally hundreds of Colorado storms. And that is the following. We are in team coverage, storm watch 2022. We're not going to do that. Matt, I give you my word, we're not going to do it. We will talk about the weather, but one of the things that I got so sick of at Devil Radio, and maybe this is too much information, but I'm always honest. I got so sick. Team coverage. We've got team coverage. Fred is in the parking lot outside the building, but he is live talking about the weather. We're not going to do that. I'm not quite sure if, the station voice, spring storm 2022. But what I find funny, again, I don't watch local television news. However, you tell me, am I right or wrong? I think I'm right. Every single television station in the greater Denver and Decay area will either lead with the spring storm ahead, probably starting to, some people go on at 4 o'clock, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. They're all going to do it. They will have live shots with reporters literally in the dark tomorrow morning. Well, it's just fine here, but we're preparing for the Alaska storm. We will not make it that big of a deal. Now, with that said, we will talk about it over the course of the next couple of hours on the show. But if you, like me, think that the team coverage and the Storm 2022 is a little bit overdone in this state, you will be happy to know you will not find that here. So there you go. Speaking of what we were talking about in our first segment, about Finland and Sweden.
President Biden says his administration will report to the Senate the two countries' applications for quick approval.
They have the full, total, complete backing of the United States of America.
But it comes amid opposition from NATO member Turkey. Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan is opposed to Finland and Sweden's support for Kurdish rebels in Turkey. Finnish President Sauli Niinisto offered reassurances.
We will commit to Turkey's security just as Turkey will commit to our security.
Steve Dorsey, CBS News, Washington.
Yeah, so Finland, Sweden applying to become part of NATO. Again, Finland shares a border with Russia. Remember back when, a couple months, a little bit more ago, when we had somehow, some way, some program, certainly the most mysterious, strange so far of 2022, and that would have been back a couple of months ago, our somehow pro-Putin Tuesday. And remember, a lot of people were talking about, wait a minute, you just kept poking the bear. You just kept poking the bear, you being the United States. The United States kept poking Russia because, well, it goes back to Bill Clinton. Yo, Ukraine, get rid of your nukes and you may be able to join NATO. So they did. And then they haven't been a part of NATO yet, officially. Not one of the member nations. But what do the pro-Putin folks think now about Finland? Finland may not share as many I guess they would say kilometers in Europe of a border with Russia, but they certainly share one. So I wonder, I hope we never have a pro-Putin program again, but you know what? You help shape the program. Before we get to a preview, we're going to dip into the NASA audio of a launch with big-time Colorado connections, United Launch Alliance, based right here in Colorado, an Atlas V Starliner, unmanned. Is that even politically correct to say now? Think about it. Should I say unmanned or unwomaned? Unmanned. I think it's a generic term. Man, like humankind. But we're going to take this. If the launch goes off, it'll be at 4:54 and 47 seconds Mountain Time. So we're going to try to take that live. But before we dip in to see what they're talking about as we approach T-minus 70 minutes or so, let's see. Joe Biden on Twitter. The official Biden Twitter account is at POTUS for President of the United States. There was a recent audit, and I find this absolutely fascinating, though I don't know how much stuns me or shocks me anymore. But an audit of the POTUS Twitter account, you may have heard this maybe a couple of days ago. 49.3% of Twitter users who follow the account at POTUS are fake. That's, even for people that don't do numbers like me, that's about half. Is that unbelievable, or is it? Newsweek was the first to report this earlier in the week. They used some kind of audit tool, and apparently that's available for free. Maybe we should run that on our own Twitter at Tubbs Show, TUBBS Show. But when they did this free online audit with this software, the at POTUS Twitter account, it was estimated to have almost 11 million fake followers. About 22.2 million total. Isn't that crazy? Oh, what was that? What? Oh, I hear our friends on the left say, yeah, well, if they ran that for Trump. Matt, let's get to some NASA audio. Let's see what they're up to about 70 minutes or so before the launch.
The station. Is there any particular activity that the astronauts on board are going to be to do inside Starliner besides transferring cargo?
So, yes, one of our test objectives is to make sure that Starliner is ready for people to be inside when we're docked. So that means, for example, there's a hardline communication system and a radio communication system between Starliner and the ISS. Now, of course, Rosie will not speak very much in English or Spanish, unfortunately. But we'll bring in the ISS crew, and they'll put on a headset and also the handheld mic, and we'll do some of the communications between back and forth, so that when we get up there, we know that it will work. Or if there's any trouble, we go and fix it. So there's a lot of things with the interface with the International Space Station that the space station crew will.
This is live NASA audio, about an hour and a little bit of an hour and change away from this United Launch Alliance Atlas V Starliner. And again, as I mentioned, the reason why I think it's so amazing is, first, we're big fans of space, but these are just steps to finally get back to the moon someday. And then maybe it's not in our lifetime, but they'll get to Mars. And I think we will succeed. Let's get back to the NASA audio live, 710 KNUS.
There is, as Mike mentioned earlier, I will not be here. I'm actually going to be busy later, but they're going to do the comm checks. So the white room that will be maneuvered in position where they can get, and they will open the hatch. It's been closed, obviously, for the rollout. And then we'll go back inside Starliner, go through some a little bit of switch list verification, and also verify the communication system, the various ways that we can communicate. We'll test all those out, and then we'll get out and, of course, go through the standard processes of closing the hatch and doing all those things to get ready for the launch. So those things are yet to happen.
A date with Rosie tonight and a high five at the end. It
for a
depends
flight?
on how long the com checks go. We have different opportunities with the TDRS satellite.
We'll go ahead and
So
fade
if,
out of
everything
that.
goes right
Live
the first
NASA
time,
audio. We'll try to
should
bring
be,
the launch to you, an unmanned launch, but with huge Colorado connections coming up just before 5 o'clock. We'll take a timeout for news, traffic, weather. And when we come back, I want to talk just briefly, and we can certainly pick this up in our next hour as well. The state of Oklahoma passed a bill today. Lawmakers passed House Bill 4327. And this basically will ban abortion at conception. Friends, let that sink in. And before you let it sink in completely, think about how it is in Colorado. Think about that. Could you be more 180 degrees different here as opposed to our neighbor to our southeast? We'll talk a little bit more about that. If you are thinking of travel, finally, I used it wasn't an analogy. I saw a mask at a busy intersection today while I was at a red light, tumbling like a tumbleweed. May that thing just keep on blowing. May you disintegrate, mask. I think how many tens of millions of masks are just right now in gutters and sewer systems. And anyhow, if because of wearing masks, etc., the pandemic, you did not plan your vacation or you had one totally screwed up, get with my friends at Highlands Ranch Travel. I have trusted them for business and leisure travel around the world for more than 15 years. Marcy and her great staff at Highlands Ranch Travel, they can help you get that relaxing R&R vacation that maybe you so desperately need. Yeah, you can do a lot online. I've done it before, of course. But if you are planning, say, a really big vacation or you want to do something very special, even domestically, trust the pros at Highlands Ranch Travel. They book a broad portfolio of vacations. I know that Marcy specializes in African safaris. Marcy is the owner. She's a dear friend, and you will love working with their team. Sit down with them and discuss your travel dream vacations. They can help you plan, understand requirements if you're traveling internationally, and of course, break down all of your options. Call me old school, as I've been telling you, but I love to sit down, talk with somebody who's been to a destination, perhaps that I haven't been to. I like to look at brochures. I like to hear about what to avoid, what to definitely see, and what's a can't miss. And you can do that now. If you have been putting your vacation on the back burner, it really is time. Summer, of course, just right around the corner. Online, and you don't have to live in Highlands Ranch or Douglas County to take part. You can be anywhere. HRTVL.com. That's Highlands Ranch Travel. HR for Highlands Ranch, TVL for travel. HRTVL.com, or call one of their travel specialists. They'd love to talk with you, and especially they'd love to meet you in person. 303-791-2311. That's 303-791-2311. And book your appointment. Get on the road again. HR Travel, Highlands Ranch Travel. It's HRTVL.com, and tell them Steffan sent you.
News Talk 710. Update.
Mostly cloudy, 88 degrees in Denver, 710 5-day forecast coming up. Top story, Pentagon sending Ukraine another big weapons shipment.
There will be 18 howitzers, 18 tactical vehicles, and 18 artillery tubes, and 3 AN/TPQ-36 counter-artillery radars.
That spokesman John Kirby, he said the shipment cost $100 million. The U.S. has sent Ukraine roughly $4 billion worth of arms and equipment since the start of Russia's invasion in late February. Wall Street is again lower despite signs of buying. NASDAQ spent chunks of the day in positive territory. The Dow and S&P 500 joined it for a short time. However, it ended up being another down day in relatively tame trading compared to past days. Dow finished down today 236 points, S&P down 22, NASDAQ down 29. This update brought to you by Dell Technologies. Small Business Month is here. Dell Technologies can help you upgrade with PCs starting at $499. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell and Windows 11 Pro secure from the start. Pueblo County looking into whether someone is posing as a deputy. The sheriff's office says they know about a social media post from someone claiming that a man wearing a sheriff's office patch knocked on her door early this morning. The post says the man didn't identify himself, had a dark bandana over his face, and a baseball cap, carried a stun gun. The woman called police after the man left. And an Arizona congressman has introduced a congressional resolution to pressure the Russian government to release WNBA star Brittany Griner. Join us for George Brockler, weekday mornings from 6 to 10, only on Newstalk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. I'm Roger Quirtlebach.
And earlier crash southbound I-25 at Colorado Boulevard, still backing you up to 6th Avenue, northbound 25, heavy from University up to Colfax. Looking at very heavy traffic in both directions, I-70 between I-25 over to Havana. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com.
A winter storm watch Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. We're going to be mid to upper 80s today. The last thing we'll be thinking about is snow today with a warm, breezy day. Showers developing tonight after midnight, much colder upper 30s, sharply colder Friday 40s with areas of rain and thunderstorms developing. That will all mix with and turn to snow Friday night into Saturday morning. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. I'm meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
Genetics, stress, hormones, aging, all natural factors that can lead to hair loss. So until we find a way to stop aging, there is fortunately a way to reverse balding and thinning hair using groundbreaking technology. Advanced Hair Restoration's simple one-day treatment can regrow your own natural hair in those places maybe it's disappeared for years. Advanced Hair works for men and women across all ages, and your new hair is backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. The top-rated physicians at Advanced Hair, they've improved tens of thousands of lives by reversing the clock on hair loss. Set up your free consultation today. Call them 720-459-HAIR. If it's right for you, you'll also get 250 free hair grafts plus $250 off. We might not be able to prevent all causes of hair loss, but you can regrow your own natural hair with Advanced Hair. 720-459-HAIR, or become inspired with those before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
When you take the time to really get to know your body, you find that the root causes of its aches and pains are usually simple. The older we get, the more exercise we undertake, and the more injuries we sustain, the more inflammation our bodies suffer from. It's so simple. And my answer to that pain is Relief Factor, which I discovered years ago and take every single day to great effect. It helps the body to fight off inflammation, and I've never found anything that worked better in my life. I can't recommend it enough. 70% of the more than 500,000 people who have tried Relief Factor end up ordering more. That's because it works for them the way it works for me. Isn't it time for you to get out of pain? Your first step to becoming pain-free should be to order the 3-week quick start for the discounted price of only $19.95. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. Feel the difference. ReliefFactor.com.
Hey, it's George Brockler with 710 KNUS. For a business owner like me, it's always tax season. The Employee Retention Credit is a great way to pay down back taxes or to receive your credit from the IRS via check. The taxpayer advocates, and they are advocates, at El Dorado Tax Solutions offer real-world solutions, not empty promises like so many do. This boutique firm can help stop bank levies and garnishments. Call El Dorado Tax Solutions at 720-769-7433 to see if you qualify for ERC credits and or to discuss your tax liability. That's El Dorado Tax Solutions at eldoradotaxsolutions.com.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS.
Starliner We'll bring that to you. Obviously, if we don't, it's because it has been placed on hold, but look forward to that about 4:54. What did I say? 4:54 and 47 seconds Mountain Time. And our last segment brought you a little bit of that NASA audio live from the Kennedy Space Center. Let's get to Mark and Aurora before we run out of time in this segment. More news at the top of the hour. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. So how did Biden's 22 million followers vote?
How did they vote?
Yeah.
They voted early and often.
That's what I thought. and about the abortion in Oklahoma, I didn't catch that till after I called in. About half their state, I think, is Indian reservations. So how's that going to work?
Yeah, no, that's above my pay grade, pal. I don't know. This is another Texas-style anti-abortion bill, but they say once this is signed by the Oklahoma governor, it will be the nation's most restrictive because they say that abortions will not be allowed to happen because it's basically it starts at conception. Life starts at conception, and you will not be allowed. And where do you think the pipeline from Oklahoma just may go? How about maybe here, right?
Yeah. I think Oklahoma's on the right track, to tell you the truth.
Well, we'll certainly see.
Maybe they went a little too far, but they're doing the right thing there.
Yeah, and it was I guess a 73. Mark, thank you. I'm having a little trouble with your phone line, but we're running out of time anyway, and I appreciate your phone call. The vote in Oklahoma earlier this afternoon, 73-16, mostly along party lines. And just reading a little bit more, the author of the bill in Oklahoma, quote, "Is our goal to defend the right to life or isn't it?" she asked her colleagues before the vote. It's one of at least 3 anti-abortion bills sent this year to Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt. He says he's going to sign this one. Not sure if you heard, but earlier this week, we talked about this within the last couple of weeks. These companies that will allow, say, stipends for employees that may live in states that, in essence, do what Texas or Oklahoma is doing or has done. This past Monday, officially, Starbucks has announced that it will pay for employees who need to travel 100 miles or more to attain an abortion. I'm not even being funny here. Does it make anybody think twice about breaking your Starbucks habit? I'm serious. If you draw the line at companies like Starbucks announcing that we'll even help you with gas money. Let me just give you a quick pro tip. Dunkin' has great coffee. My go-to is McDonald's. Believe it or not, they've got great coffee. You don't need to continue to give Starbucks. If this is against what you believe in, then why tomorrow are you going to get the grande, double pump, no whip, extra hot iced latte? And I realize that you can't get an extra hot and iced, but you know what I mean. Starbucks, earlier this week, they've already now joined a laundry list of companies that'll pay for an abortion or strike that. Not pay for it, although would that surprise you? Sign here on the dotted line, a bonus, we'll pay for your abortion. So Starbucks, adios, but they join Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Citigroup, Salesforce. We'll help you with that gas money. Oh, you don't drive? Oh, how about a flight? And we'll even pay for your Uber. It's Gross, friends. 4 o'clock hour next.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles here to remind you to be sure to log on 710knus.com and click on the Peter Boyles Book Club banner and watch this week's video podcast. And when you join the book club, you can see all of my video interviews, get early bird invitations, attend all live events, best-selling writers and authors, and register to win copies of our featured titles every month. And remember, it's free to sign up at 710knus.com and click the book club banner today.
it's still the right time to get away to the Claremont Inn and Winery. Do you need a quiet getaway or something more adventurous for the weekend? Now is the perfect getaway time, and the Claremont Inn offers exactly what you need. Maybe a cooking class, a round of golf, or enjoy a murder mystery or an escape room challenge. Hands-on Saturday cooking classes are back and a perfect way to spend an afternoon. And you have options. Claremont kitchen classes specialize in grilling, making Italian pastas and sauces, and even how to create the perfect dinner party. Whether you're a kitchen pro wanting to finesse your skills or the dinner reservation specialist, you'll learn some chef's tips and tricks and enjoy a delightful afternoon in the Claremont kitchen. Stop dreaming and start packing for your getaway to the Claremont Inn and Winery, Colorado's hidden treasure. Learn more about finding a getaway package that's perfect for you at ClaremontGetaways.com. That's ClaremontGetaways.com or call 888-291-8910. That's 888-291-8910.
I don't have to remind you, America is facing huge challenges: soaring inflation, radical ideologies forced on the next generation, the worsening crisis at our southern border, and alarming crime rates. It's time to join forces with an organization that loves America. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is America's conservative 50-plus organization. My friends at AMAC are action-oriented and fight every day to represent your interests on Capitol Hill with the AMAC Advocacy Group. Join today. Go to GorkaForAMAC.com and start receiving amazing benefits like discounts on travel, cell phones, and restaurants, all while fighting to preserve America and the causes that conservatives care about. For just $16 a year, you can join forces with AMAC and 2.3 million Americans who share your values. I'm a proud member of AMAC. You can be one too. Go to GORKA for AMAC.com. Join today.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles for The Butchery in Arvada. The Butchery, the return of the classic Colorado steakhouse that made Denver famous. There's a twist, serving the finest steaks, chops, and the freshest seafood. The Butchery only serves Angus beef, the finest and best USDA prime beef on the market, or try the bourbon barrel salmon or the juicy Colorado bison ribeye and add the lobster mac and cheese for any entree. The Butchery, my kind of steakhouse. Make your reservations now by going to thebutcheryarvada.com.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
Well, the entire drive is looking bad, but your I-70 and I-270 drive in particularly bad shape. I-70 eastbound is running heavy between Quebec over to I-225. Westbound is slow from I-270 over to Vasquez. I-270 slow eastbound and westbound through Commerce City. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 4 o'clock, mostly cloudy, 88 degrees in Denver. 710 5-day forecast coming right up. Our top story is the weather. Close to 90 degrees today and then snow on Friday. How much snow?
Best bet right now on the west and south sides of Metro Denver, we're thinking 5 to 10 inches. And then less the further east you go, maybe just 1 to 4 inches east of Denver.
That's Paul Schlauder with the National Weather Service in Boulder. We have a red flag warning in effect until 8 o'clock tonight, and then a winter storm warning in effect from noon Friday until noon on Saturday. A Denver grand jury has indicted 11 people accused of operating an auto theft ring that stole more than $3 million in vehicles and other property across the metro area. According to the Denver District Attorney's Office, prosecutors said the defendants stole guns, trailers, and at least 130 vehicles. They are also accused of stealing identities to finance their methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl addictions. The jury indicted the defendants on 74 charges, including first-degree assault, first-degree motor vehicle theft, cyber crimes, identity theft, and vehicular assault. This update brought to you by Allstate. Looking to save money with DriveWise from Allstate. The safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today. The song will be played tonight at Ball Arena as the Avs skate against the Blues. Game 2 of their series. Dow finished down today 236 points. Wake up with George Brockler weekdays from 6 to 10 only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Conservative Summit.
It's springtime in the Rockies. We'll go from warm to cold real fast. A winter storm watch is in effect Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Tonight, clouding up, turning colder, upper 30s with a chance of showers after midnight. Much colder Friday with rain and thunderstorms likely, mid to upper 40s. Areas of rain and snow turning to all snow Friday night into Saturday morning. Accumulations likely and sharply colder. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
Portions of the following program have been pre-recorded. A longtime newsman with an opinion. A longtime newsman with an opinion. A proud dad. An American. Supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
However, friends, things most certainly will be changing over the next 48 hours or so. I apologize on behalf of anyone and everyone that has ever been on this radio frequency. I apologize on behalf of Matt and the program that, yes, last week I jinxed it, most likely, because I did ask Matt, should I do it? Should I do it? He said yes. And I made the bold prediction, clearly wrong, that it had snowed for the final time this season. Well, sorry. We always need someone to blame. Feel free. You can blame me. We've got a great show ahead in this hour as well. We are counting down the minutes now to a launch of an Atlas V Starliner. And this is directly connected with United Launch Alliance right here in Colorado. And as I said last hour, if you are just clicking on, we love space. So if you love space, you are right here at home. You are in like company. If you don't really care about space, you probably, well, I don't know, you switch stations when we start talking about space. But I love it. And what I think is just fascinating, and this is just up to, I think, the desire, budgetary considerations. But I just think it is just a matter of time. We're going to go back to the moon. Many people out there say that is so stupid. In fact, I think probably maybe next week that would be a good something to talk about. Should we go back to the moon? And, you know, not to wax nostalgic, but we will get to the moon in the next decade. Why he didn't say decade, maybe that's a Boston, Massachusetts area type thing. But President Kennedy, you know, why not? I say we go back to the moon because we should, because we can. Now, you and I both know this, that what we saw with Mercury, Gemini, Apollo missions, that'll never fly in modern day space. Ever. Need I tell you to look at the new White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre. They're proud LGBTQIA exclamation point plus. And she's a woman of color. Holy cow. So it won't be the same, a bunch of old white guys. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think we will get back to the moon, and we should. But in our lifetime, yours or mine, are we going to see truly a manned mission to Mars. And I think like what we'll have with this launch later, these are all these steps taken to see if we can actually pull it off, and we've got the thrust, so to speak, to do it. And I'm a huge fan, and I say, you know, on a day where nearly $40 billion in aid to Ukraine was basically passed without a hitch in the United States Senate, they can find the money if they'd like to. Right now, 7 minutes after 4 o'clock, and I don't know if you have heard, I shouldn't be a smartass, but there is a difference in weather straight ahead for us, and let's see how much of a difference. Meteorologist or forecaster, he may be a meteorologist, Dave Bargenbrook joins us from the National Weather Service in Boulder. Brother man, good afternoon to you, and thank you as always.
Good afternoon.
What are we going to see over the course of the next 48 hours, specifically up and down the Front Range?
A big change. This is, you remember a couple years ago when we went from extreme heat to cold and
I
snow.
do, yeah.
This one we're doing pretty much the same thing, except this one's in the springtime. Near 90 right now, and we're going to be cooling off big time. And unfortunately, that dreaded 4-letter word, snow, is back in the forecast.
I guess, with 9, I mean, are we expecting so much and such a great drop in temperature that it may stick to the roads or just the grass, or what do you think?
Yeah, so big changes across from elevation to elevation. So mountains and foothills, almost a guarantee that we're going to see 1 to 2 feet of snow.
Wait a minute, Dave, did you just say feet?
For the foothills. Now, as we hit, it's big spring storm for them. Not unheard of for May. It has snowed even here in Denver, of course. A few Mays ago, back in 2017, we had some snow. But it looks like we're going to get several inches in the Denver metro area as we head into late tomorrow night, and into early Saturday morning.
Wow. Who can we blame? Everybody's got to find somebody to blame. What do we blame this on?
Going to have to be just Mother Nature this time, because serving up, some of this ridiculous drought that we've been suffering through, and blowing dust and constant days of fire weather, fire danger conditions. And now we're changing it on a dime. We're just going to go right into the winter realm for a couple days here. The biggest impacts, unfortunately, if I can continue here, please forgive me, but
no, please go.
The biggest impacts look like, trees or vegetation. Trees, once we start to get 3 or 4 inches of snow accumulating on them, we're going to start to see some limbs breaking under that weight of the snow, because it's going to be a heavy, wet snow like typical spring snows. And then if we get to 6 or 8 inches, that's when we really start to see significant destruction from our trees, and of course, power outages result.
Right. Dave Bargenbrook, forecaster for the National Weather Service in Boulder, keeping us honest on the, as he said, a big change coming over the next 48 hours or so. When you talk about, I think you said several inches, obviously, for the metro area, but you just mentioned 6 to 8, that if we get that, what would your best guess be for people that do live in the greater Denver area?
Yeah, so, right now the ranges on this forecast are pretty large. We're generally anticipating between 3 and maybe even as much as 10 inches in portions of the metro area. It could be one of those where it's a lot less just on the far northeast parts of Denver, let's say the airport, Commerce City area, but a heck of a lot more in the western suburbs and southern suburbs, where temperatures will be just a degree or 2 colder. Big ranges. There's even a small chance, somebody could see a foot of snow down here in the west and south side of Denver. It's not impossible. I hope we don't see it. And if we did, we would see just absolute destruction on some of the trees.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking even in the city of Denver, the beautiful portions of, 6th in Colorado, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all those areas with obviously established trees, and they're starting to, obviously leaf out, and they have been for weeks. Let me ask you about the rest of the state. Is this primarily maybe a north central mountains, Front Range, foothills type thing, or are we going to get some moisture that is so desperately needed? You alluded to drought. What about the rest of the state?
Well, we certainly are getting a fair share of moisture with this precipitation amounts. We will get some beneficial rains up front of this, rains on next, which will all melt tomorrow down in Denver. So 1 to maybe as much as 2 inches of liquid equivalent for much of the Front Range. It doesn't, mostly the central and northern portion of the state, the southern portion of the state doesn't get much.
Great. Dave, we're having a little trouble, and it's probably our fault, but thank you for the information. A little trouble on your phone line, but Dave Bargenbrook, always kind with us. The National Weather Service, holy cow. I've got to say, I knew this was going to, we're not still, by the way, going into anything that we will label for the next 2 straight shows as Storm Coverage 22. We won't have team coverage. It's just you, me, and Matt. But as he indicated, near 90 degrees, I think he said a big change, cooling off big time, up to 2 feet of snow in the foothills. Yes, I know we need the moisture, but lady, Mother Nature, can we spread this out over a few days instead? Several inches in the metro area. Obviously the difference, as he had said, in certain pockets that may be 1, 2, 3 degrees cooler. So the forecast for the metro area is snow starting, and I believe I was going to ask him, but our phone line crapped out. Apologies for that. We look like, and we'll talk more with CBS 4 meteorologist, our friend of the program, Dave Aguilera, coming up about 5:30. It looks like 3 to 10 inches. And it probably will start. We'll get this more with Dave, but it looks like it'll start tomorrow night and into Saturday. So, holy cow. Multiple ways to get in touch with this program. As always, our website, 710knus.com/Steffan. You can listen to live streaming audio. Welcome to those of you who do just that via the app or the website. Commercial break-free podcasts every minute of the show and every show we do. Available for you later. What else? Our phone number, 303-696-1971 via the app and the website. You can send an email to my inbox as well. I really do try to respond to every single one, but definitely give me a few more days to return an email, but always appreciate getting those as well. 4:54 and 47 seconds. That is coming up, and that will be the launch, and I'm excited about it. We don't get to during our window, not a lot of stuff space-wise for whatever reason happens live. I think it did happen earlier with the one of the missions to the International Space Station, but sometimes, and a lot of times, they're just not on between 3 and 7 Mountain Time with launches, so we play a lot of audio, what happened earlier in the day. But we are happy to say that the United Launch Alliance, it's still green, it's still a go, and we will bring that to you live. And then, sadly, even if we wanted to take more, the computer's going to cut us off. Matt will at least get a couple of minutes, or just a tad less, but you know what? That's awesome. So I told you the ways to get in touch with us on social media, by the way, at Tubbs Show, TUBBS Show, Facebook and Twitter. And of course, we welcome those of you. Now we're almost into the end of the second week of our, now is going to be every single day, and it certainly has been, our simulcast on our YouTube channel, 710KNUS YouTube channel. So hello to those of you who are possibly watching that way. Yeah, and I tell you what, I have not gone back. Some of you may think, at least one person who called the show yesterday, she didn't like me. She said there are much better shows out there. I guarantee you she's listening right now. And this is to you, Jane. You can't quit me. But anyway, I have not gone to see how we look on our YouTube simulcast, but I have had probably half a dozen texts over the last week to week and a half saying the quality is great. So kudos to our engineer, Dave Agnew, and of course, our chief of staff, Mark Crowley. Thank you to Matt for making sure it's up and running. And so don't forget, you can also listen to the program that way if maybe it's a little easier than the app or what have you. We've got to take traffic and weather coming up in just a few minutes, but I will say for at least the next segment, the following segment, our final one of the hour, because we have 3 segments in an hour, we will do our best to lead up to the launch of that Atlas V. But this is such a contentious issue, clearly, and I realize most obviously I'm telling you exactly what you know. Roe v. Wade, the leak, what states like Texas and now Oklahoma are doing. Not to mention, to me, the most disgusting piece of legislation, truly, that Governor Jared Polis could have signed in the state of Colorado. I don't know if we all just need to kind of come to this agreement that we'll be there for each other because this drives us all absolutely nuts. Once again, I do not understand how any Democrat could have voted for the abortion bill, the protection, you know what I'm talking about, here in Colorado. The signing, how Governor Polis can just continually tell NPR, tell his husband, tell his fellow Democrats that this is the right thing to do, that there's no problem. You can continue, Governor. You can continue to call it a fetus. You can continue. But we all know better. And if a Democrat, if you're a friend on the left that listens and you tolerate the program, can't stand our politics or mine, so be it. You've got a choice whether or not to listen to what you hear. But I just cannot help but think earlier this year when Governor Polis does the traditional and typical bill signing, and you've got the bill's sponsors behind him. You've got the multiple pens. You've got the binder with the legislation, and the governor signs it. And then what do you have after the signature? Oh, you have applause. These people are just, they truly are just certainly not in my orbit. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there is a today angle. If you're just joining us, Oklahoma's state legislature earlier today gave final approval to what's been described as a Texas-style anti-abortion bill. When it is signed, and Governor Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma says he will sign this, Oklahoma's anti-abortion bill will become the strictest in the nation. It was a 73-16 vote, mostly along party lines in the state of Oklahoma. But what do you think? And this is what I was alluding to. Maybe we just all have to comfort each other. If you feel the way I do, and I know that so many of you do, when it comes to the way Colorado is compared to 180 degrees different from a state like Texas or now Oklahoma. But we've got to comfort each other. I don't advocate any violence, and we're going to talk a little bit more in the program and probably do that in less than an hour in our 5 o'clock hour, especially because of what Oklahoma legislators did today. There earlier this week, and I want to just find it, and I'll look for it, and here it is. CBS News obtained earlier this week a threat intelligence bulletin that was issued by the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Intelligence and Analysis. And according to the bulletin, quote, domestic violent extremists, or DVEs, and criminal actors have adopted narratives surrounding abortion rights to encourage violence, likely increasing the threat to government, religious, and reproductive health care and facilities and ideological opponents. Close quote. My big question, and we're going to get into this in the 5 o'clock hour. So who should we be afraid of? Should we be afraid of the left-wing progressive whack jobs, if in fact the leak was true and Roe v. Wade is overturned? Or do we need to worry about the right-wing extremist whack jobs? So we'll get into this Department of Homeland Security. I hope you also join me that extremists on either side of the political spectrum, well, they don't speak for me. Somebody that would go bomb an abortion clinic doesn't speak for me. Someone on the left that would go do something, say, I don't know, to them as benign as dox a Supreme Court justice, they sure as hell don't speak for me. I'm telling you, and we mentioned this within the last couple of weeks. If what may happen next month, the overturning of Roe v. Wade based on that Mississippi case, if that happens, I shudder to think what is ahead for this country in maybe the summer of hell 2022. But we'll talk more about it. Mike in Aurora joins us, and then we'll take a break for traffic and weather. Mike, good afternoon to you, and thanks.
Hey, Steffan, how are you?
Good, thank you.
You know, this whole thing, the whole abortion thing, if you just do the rhetoric, concentrate on the rhetoric, it is so much like the fight over slavery and ending slavery that it just blows my mind.
Expand on that. Go ahead.
If you're my slave, I own you. You are my property. I can work you to death. I can feed you. I can rape you, and I can kill you because I own you. If you are my fetus, it is my property, my baby. I had my very close friend, their daughter died in utero at 4.5 months. And they delivered her, and there is this perfect baby with, feet and hands and lips. But according to the pro-abortions, that is my property.
Right.
And I can do what I want with that property at any time. But that will also, Polis could end the baby shortage, the baby formula shortage, by just extending the abortion date to 1 year after birth. And then boom, no worry about the baby formula.
You know what? In years past, and I don't know, Mike, how much you listen, but there have been times, multiple times in the Biden administration so far, where a caller like you will say something, and maybe 5 years ago I would have said, "Come on, Mike, come on, you're nuts." You know what? I think maybe in a previous job or whatever, I would have heard something like you just said, and I would have went, "Mike, come on." Now, I absolutely get what you're saying. I do.
Look what happened
and it's
in
sick.
Virginia. You can
I
have
know.
the baby.
I know.
And we'll be nice to it, and we'll be tender to it, and then we'll end its life.
Well, like I've said, Mike, I mean, I've said it, and I guess at least you would agree that it's not as crazy as it sounds. You go through and you give birth. Yeah, well, you know what? My boyfriend just texted me. He made a TikTok video and said that, it was much better when you weren't pregnant. So kill it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and look at Dred Scott. Dred Scott said basically that black people were not citizens. And what does Roe v. Wade said? It's my body. I can do what I want. It's health care.
Listen,
it's my health care.
Yeah. Your analogy of property, I really have to say, I'm not trying to even kiss your ass. It's brilliant. I really appreciate you sharing that. And sadly, I say that sadly. I wish you didn't have to. It is. Real quick, I want to give you the last word, but I mentioned that earlier this afternoon, they did what they did in Oklahoma. What's amazing to me is we are going to become this. Of course, the left will say, well, now there's got to be an underground railroad from Oklahoma to Colorado. Are you nuts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you kidding? Somebody with the state probably, I'm exaggerating, but somebody with the state would say, oh, where do you live? Tulsa? Oh, Stillwater? Oh, well, we'll just send a state vehicle to come and get you. Oh, you don't like a car ride? Well, we'll send a state plane. Come on in here. Bring us your tired, your poor, your people who want to kill your baby.
You're pregnant. It's my body. It's my healthcare choice.
The
You
property.
remember that.
Listen, wonderful call. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. The property analogy sure as hell makes sense to me. When we come back after a brief timeout for traffic and weather, Matt has found when I jinxed it. I'm sorry. Is it good, Matt? Because it's so dumb and so bad. We'll go back in the archives from what was that last week or the week before? It was last week, where I boldly said, I think we've had our last snow. Sorry. This is truly the week or the next 48 hours, or maybe you're using your AC today and your heater tomorrow. If it's been a while since either your furnace or AC unit has been inspected and cleaned, get with our friends at 888 Heating. They've got a year-round $88 performance check. They'll come out, make sure everything in your system is in excellent working order. You will also then be able to optimize your energy use. If you've got an old unit, somebody sent me a really inappropriate text, but they said, I've got an old unit, and it wasn't about the AC or the furnace. So, sir, I've just given you some on-air credit. Older units, though, really are the biggest energy consumers. 888 right now has for you a limited time offer of $2,088 off a new AC or furnace installation, and you could be saving money almost immediately. They only use American Standard units, the best in the industry at the best price. At 888 Heating, they'll go the distance for you. I have certainly been a customer in the past. Family owned and operated, serving families like yours and mine for more than 2 decades. Garrett and his team are terrific. Go to their website, 888heating.com, and you'll visit their specials tab if you'd like, see customer reviews, and make sure to get your $88 performance check. We can talk more about the Oklahoma legislature passing what it did today. Going to be signed, the governor says, and it'll make it the most restrictive in the nation. But then I'll also remind you of some of those companies like, yes, sorry, your favorite, Starbucks. Oh, you want an abortion, Susie? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and pay for your transportation. I hate to say it, friends. Danielle Jurinsky did earlier this week.
This now is war.
It's us versus them. Sadly. And by the way, I do not advocate ever any violence. We're back after this.
Well, the good news is things are starting to ease up a little bit following now that we've cleared that crash southbound I-25 near Colorado Boulevard, but we're still seeing major delays back to Alameda. A new crash on Parker Road northbound on the ramp to southbound I-225. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Root Insurance.
Hi, Colorado. We're Root, and we do car insurance differently. Download the Root app today. Root, for good drivers. Disclaimers may apply. See root.com for details.
Hey everybody, Randy Corcoran back Saturday with the warm-up show for the Republican Rumble at the Grizzly Rose. I'm planning on open lines all show long. Lots of people have reached out to me regarding the Dick Wadhams Hour last week. Grab the Hour 3 podcast if you haven't heard it yet. That and so much more. It's you and me, baby, Saturday.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, Saturdays from 9 to noon on News Talk 710 KNUS.
This is the Cenegenics Health Minute with my good friend, Dr. Tim Watt.
Hi, I'm Dr. Watt from Cenegenics. The Mediterranean diet has become popular as one of the healthiest ways of eating. While I am all for eating lots of vegetables, fish, and olive oil, it turns out the real secret to why the Mediterranean diet decreases heart disease and improves your health isn't the main ingredients, it's the herbs used for seasoning. Basil, summer savory, thyme, and tarragon all contain natural chemicals that reduce inflammation and prevent damage to your blood vessels. So by all means, feel free to ditch the standard American diet. After all, it abbreviates SAD for a reason, and replace it with the Mediterranean diet. But if you want to take baby steps towards your health, just try adding fresh herbs like basil to the dishes you're already eating. It's easy, it's tasty, and it's good for you.
Call Cenegenics today at 720-387-3681 or visit denver.cenegenics.com.
This is Dan Kaplis. Ben Franklin said that well done is better than well said. That applies directly to personal injury law. Actions speak louder than words. Talk is cheap. Results matter. At our firm, we've achieved truly historic results, which we'd be proud to share with you. We're a serious firm for serious cases. We take righteous cases on a percentage fee basis. If you need our help with a serious injury or, God forbid, wrongful death case, please give me a call, 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's dankaplislaw.com.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by The Garage in Inglewood and Parker, home of the KNUS $99 oil change.
Don't miss 2,000 Mules, the new movie from Dinesh D'Souza.
What you're about to see is disturbing.
The truth behind the 2020 election conspiracy.
This mule went across 6 counties to 27 different drop boxes. In no way is that legal.
See the evidence for yourself.
No one has more data than we do.
What you showed is frightening.
This is organized crime.
2,000 Mules. Watch it or buy it today at salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com. Sponsored by Salem Media Group.
In 2008, I wrote The Dumbest Generation. This is Mark Bauerlein. The millennials I wrote about have grown up now with little faith, patriotism, knowledge, art and literature, civics, without purpose and looking to fill the void. They found the answer in utopian dreams of perfect justice and universal happiness that will only disappoint them. My new book, The Dumbest Generation Grows Up, From Stupefied Youth to Dangerous Adults, lays out the wreckage and shows how to rescue the next generation.
Get Mark Bauerlein's timely new book, The Dumbest Generation Grows Up, wherever books are sold.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
A live Atlas V Starliner liftoff, and with a huge Colorado connection, United Launch Alliance. That'll happen at 4:54 and 47 seconds, according to ULA, and we will bring that to you live. And we'll hear if there's a hold. So be with us if you're a fan of space like we are. We've got great radio live dealing with space and exploration. This is an unmanned launch, but again, as I've made clear, at least I feel, every single time they do something like this is just that much closer to putting man back on the moon, getting a manned mission to Mars, and I am all for that. We are getting great texts in, and thank you for weighing in on what the Oklahoma State Legislature did earlier today. It gave final approval in what will be, once signed by the governor, the most restrictive anti-abortion law in the country. But we have a state that most of you listening in, I would assume, live in Colorado. I know we've got our great listeners outside of this state. But you just think about the juxtaposition of what an Oklahoma legislature did today and what the Colorado legislature did earlier this year. I do not understand. And friends, I have told you, just got a text from one of my friends on my personal cell phone, and I appreciate the fact she reached out. And it's basically, it sounds like your stance has changed on abortion. Well, at the risk, and I put myself out there within the last 2 weeks on the radio program, I have always, my entire life, been pro-choice. But what we have here in Colorado is disgusting. It's just kind of like that analogy, and I'm not getting into the weeds on it, so, don't get your, what would it be, your cockles up. The people who did what they did on January 6th at the United States Capitol, the people who caused the damage and the mayhem, vast majority of the people there did not. But those people who did, the idiot with the hairy chest and the horns on his head, the dude in Pelosi's office with his feet on the desk, those, quote, conservatives do not speak for me. And in the way I have, my beliefs are, and the way I have been raised, like it or not, I have been, a woman she should have a choice. But there comes a point where you do not. Why? Because you are killing a human being. And for some of you, I realize that either infuriates you and now you'll never listen again, or you feel like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Don't you think life starts at conception? I really don't want to get into those weeds either. But I've made myself perfectly clear, as alone as I may be, a conservative with conservative values, fiscally conservative. Government, get out of my face. Get out of my life. Voting for Donald Trump twice. Well, you're just a rhino. I couldn't care less. And I don't think I'm talking with you, but if I am, if you think I'm a rhino because of the way I feel, and at least I'm freaking honest and I'm consistent, well, that's your problem, not mine. I'm very comfortable in how I feel about abortion. But again, there's a point. Was it Mike earlier in the hour, earlier in the program, calling in, comparing, this is my property? What a brilliant analogy. Let's get to the texts that have come in. Here's one. Mr. Polis will pass a bill paying for abortions for women from any state. This one talking about Mike's call. Brilliant analogy. Your Candy-Cita Bacas of the left don't want anyone to have property until it's a baby. I fail to comprehend the way the bill reads in Colorado, how anyone with a heartbeat and a brain and a conscience can support what this governor signed. I've said this, and it's the only way I can put it. It's beyond my comprehension. It's like there's right and there's wrong. It's like we've talked about with if and when the former police chief in Aurora is deposed. There's one of two things that's going to happen. Maybe it's based on question. I don't know. But there is either going to be the truth or it's going to be a lie. And if it's omitting, that's a lie. So it's either the truth or a lie. And in this case, what Colorado is allowing and has, and some Democrats in this state, they will not only tell you how great it is, they'll puff their chest out and say, and therefore, all of you neglected women, if you are experiencing inequity when it comes to killing a baby that can live because of technology outside of its mother's womb, like now, they are going to welcome in. There is going to be, I think we are headed into uncharted territory, friends. Next hour, I want to get into, as I mentioned, this Department of Homeland Security Threat Intelligence Bulletin, and it has everything to do and nothing else with what may come with violence in this country because of the leak and because of the possibility of Roe v. Wade being overturned. And again, I say, not trying to play dumb or just be stupid or naive. I'm not sure based on what I've read of this intelligence bulletin. So wait a minute, government. Who are we supposed to be afraid of? Who are the bad actors? Are these bad actors going to be people that actually kind of vote like I do? Or is it going to be that crazy whack job left-wing fringe? And in all fairness, because it's true, whether you want to admit it to yourself, that's your problem. There are also the far right-wing whack jobs that will do stuff like this. And then I'd like to think that there are people like you and me that are a little less crazy. Matt, just so you know, we don't have any time for any phone calls this hour because we are going to take the live NASA audio of the Atlas V Starliner. We are less than 15 minutes or so away from that live launch, and we love space, and I want to do that. We'll pick back up in the 5 o'clock hour. I want to get into, and it may be one of those things like earlier this week where it was a 9-page single-spaced affidavit that I wanted to go and make sure everybody heard we were all on the same page. This may take a while to get through this threat intelligence bulletin from DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. But again, maybe as I read more, as we go through this together next hour, I'll have a better idea of who the government is trying to warn us about. Is it the left-wing wackos or the right-wing wackos? But you just watch this state. I mean, is the Visitors and Convention Bureau, will they be having abortion package specials to come to Colorado? We have lost our freaking minds in this state. And it's not just Denver and Decay. I mean to tell you. And then, of course, some of our friends on the left will say, well, look at that, what they did in Oklahoma, the audacity of saying life begins at conception. They'll laugh at this type of stuff. How do you think our friends on the left, I wonder what the governor right now tonight will tell his husband about what his colleague, another governor in the United States of America, Kevin Stitt, is going to sign this bill. Well, Marlon, we're just going to have to open up our doors once again in Colorado because, again, a woman now can't choose in Oklahoma. We've lost our minds. We have absolutely lost our freaking minds. And I just told you how I have been pro-choice my entire life. Nuts. I do apologize. I know this is a hot button issue, and a lot of you have opinions on this. But we have been promising, and we will do this. I think I need to cool off a little bit, and we will cool off by seeing incredible engines lift an Atlas V coming up, and we'll hear that straight ahead. It is almost dinner time, maybe late lunchtime. Get with our friends at the Black Eyed Pea. There are 9 Colorado locations. Surely one is near you. If you haven't been there in a while, the roasted turkey or the meatloaf, maybe some would say maybe even better than Mom's. By the way, get the meatloaf grilled. You'll thank me later. The grilled salmon at the Black Eyed Pea is outstanding. You can get Cajun or lemon herb. And of course, they've got the delicious kind of that comfort food, the great soups and salads, sides, more than 30 of them, including delicious mashed potatoes. Everything is made from scratch at your local Black Eyed Pea. Of course, daily specials, senior discounts, military discounts, first responder discounts, and save room for dessert. We recommend, certainly from this program to your stomach, your mouth. How's that? The banana pudding. If you're looking for a job, blackeyedpeacolorado.com, click on employment. It'll take you to an online job application. And you can also download, there is a Black Eyed Pea app. You don't even have to, go in and pay, because you'll pay via the app, and then you just come in, boom, pick it up. It's right there. You take it home. You'll love it. I love everything about the Black Eyed Pea. You will as well, especially if it's been a while. Lunch or dinner, visit one of the 9 Colorado Black Eyed Pea locations near you. Space launch right around the corner. Stay with us.
News Talk 710. Update.
Thursday afternoon, mostly cloudy and 85 degrees in Denver. 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, the weather. After near 90 today, a winter storm warning will be in effect Friday at noon until noon on Saturday. Some snow in the city, but the high country?
Starting tomorrow morning, actually, it should start snowing pretty good up in the foothills and mountains. And up to 2 feet of snow is expected in those areas, particularly from the tunnel eastward down to near the cities.
That's Paul Schlatter with the National Weather Service in Boulder. We also have a red flag warning until 8 o'clock tonight. Get out there and unscrew your hose while you can. The U.S. government has vaccinated more than 20,000 migrants and asylum seekers in U.S. border custody since launching a massive COVID-19 vaccination campaign in March. CBS's Kamal Montoya Galvez has been speaking with Dr. Gandhi, the top doc for Homeland Security.
Gandhi said the overwhelming majority of migrants choose to get vaccinated, citing a refusal rate in the low teens. The doctor said he's also hopeful that DHS will be able to offer flu shots to migrants in processing facilities later this year.
This update brought to you by Liberty Mutual, where you only pay for what you need. Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Rockies off today. They'll host the Mets tomorrow in the snow. Dow finished down today, 236 points. S&P 500 down 22. NASDAQ down 29. Wake up with George Brockler weekday mornings from 6 to 10, only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. I'm Roger Crittlebaugh.
I-25 is really jammed up northbound and southbound between University and Colfax. Also looking at heavy traffic eastbound on I-70 between Monaco over I-225. And stop and go north and southbound 225 between Colfax and I-70. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Now, at Lowe's, get their exclusive Harbor Breeze Hathaway 52-inch ceiling fan special value of $99.98. Selection varies by location, while supplies last. Valid 5/19 to 5/25.
It's springtime in the Rockies. We'll go from warm to cold real fast. A winter storm watch is in effect Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Tonight, cloudy enough, turning colder upper 30s with a chance of showers after midnight. Much colder Friday with rain and thunderstorms likely. Mid to upper 40s. Areas of rain and snow turning to all snow Friday night into Saturday morning. Accumulations likely and sharply colder. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
Before Bamboo HR, I feel like crying just thinking about it.
We were still handling everything via paper, and we literally had paper stack.
It was all in spreadsheets and like folders.
From the moment I started using it, I felt calmer.
As soon as we started using the Bamboo like onboarding checklist, I mean, it was extremely easy.
Headcount, turnover, years of service. Like there's just so many different reports that I use at different points in time.
I'm like totally set free to focus on the people, to focus on development, to focus on team dynamics.
It's freeing me up to do more of the stuff that actually matters in HR, which is interacting with people, learning from them, and then building stuff for them.
Everything is in this one place. I can't even imagine what it would be like without Bamboo HR.
We're Bamboo HR, and we'd love to set you free to do great work. Come try our award-winning all-in-one HR software for free with no strings attached. Visit bamboohr.com/HR for this free trial offer. That's bamboohr.com/HR.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Steffan Tubbs. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
But it just depends on where you are in the metro area. The National Weather Service told us earlier this hour, 3 to 10 inches of snow, depending on where you are in the Denver area, which leads me to, well, last week, I apologize, friends. We'll take you back to our audio archives from just a few programs ago. Do we start out by possibly jinxing it with the weather? Should, Matt, yes or no? Should I? Should I say what I'm about to say, potentially risking jinxing it?
My vote is always yes.
Okay, I love it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's May 11th. It's 89 degrees, starting the 5 p.m. Mountain Time hour. We can proclaim that we have seen the final, oh gosh, do I do it? The final snow of the season. Matt, next week it's going to be like 31 for a high and this snowy, slushy, melty mess.
Yeah, we'll know who to blame.
No way. That actually happened. That was 8 days ago. That was last Wednesday. Actually, I don't know if I jinxed it or if I'm like, freaking Nostradamus, whatever the hell his name is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. If you're a fan of space, Matthew, let's get to Cape Canaveral, Kennedy Space Center in Florida. We are now T-3 minutes. Let's join NASA audio as the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket will launch Boeing's Crew Space Transportation CST-100 Starliner spacecraft on its orbital flight test number 2. It's an uncrewed flight of the Starliner, I should say, to the International Space Station. This mission to, quote, demonstrate the spacecraft's human transportation capabilities. The test flight is the last major step before the Atlas V and Boeing's Starliner capsule take American astronauts to the ISS as part of NASA's Commercial Crew program. We are now at T-2 minutes and counting. We've got the NASA
159.
audio up.
Vehicle internal. 155.
Tell you what, this is the last you're going to hear from me in the 4 o'clock hour. Sit back
Securing Centaur LH2.
and enjoy.
Securing Centaur LO2.
And go ULA.
Centaur hydrogen and oxygen are now at flight level and topping is being terminated.
140. Launch enabled. 137. At DSR. $120. OC is armed. SCS count started. EDS ascent.
EDS armed and ready means the emergency detection system is now armed.
1
and
minute.
that basically just means
Rob,
that if
report
it
range
detects
status.
something, it will
Range
trigger the
green.
launch abort system on Starliner and fire
54.
automatically. The
PLP
spacecraft
started.
would push itself far up and away from the rocket. We're talking a mile up and a mile out in just a matter of seconds. We certainly don't expect to see that today.
40. Alice at flight press. $30
seconds.
Centaur at flight press.
Vehicle is now pressurized for flight.
25. Status check. Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Go Starliner.
All systems are go for liftoff.
Go Starliner. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff. Starliner is headed back to space on the shoulders of Atlas, powered by a workforce dedicated to its success.
There is nothing like
We have confirmation of a good MET epic timer on Starliner.
Atlas executed its roll program.
Already ready is now throttling down to maintain
Crew in a
acceptable
heads-up
dynamic
position to
pressure on
get
the
crew
vehicle.
on board today.
This is the first planned throttle down for Atlas in preparation for max Q.
Max Q, maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle.
Right now, atmospheric forces are the highest Starliner Atlas will face during the uphill climb.
Western Conservative Summit is one of the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States. I'm Jeff Hunt. Join us June 3rd and 4th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Denver, Colorado.
This year's summit features former Trump press secretaries Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and just added Betsy DeVos, Matt Walsh, and Tulsi Gabbard. Get tickets today at 710knus.com.
We'll see you at the summit.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles here for my friend David Ellis in Cherry Creek. Now is the time to get a professional appraisal on all the valuables you have tucked away in your home. You could be sitting on a fortune in cash. David Ellis Jewelers pays top dollar for your diamonds, gold, sterling silver, wedding bands, and Rolex watches. You'll get instant cash on the spot. David offers confidential evaluations on precious metals, coins, silver sets, and estate sale jewelry and antique items. This trusted jeweler has been buying precious metals and antiques in Colorado for decades. No obligation, free appraisals, private and confidential. If you're looking to buy a gift for someone special in your life or yourself, the vast, expansive showroom, David Ellis Jewelers, look for the black awning, the corner of 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek. Explore online, davidellisjewelry.com. 6 days a week. Call my friend David Ellis, 303-322-8779, 303-322-8779, online, davidellisjewelry.com. 3rd and Clayton and Cherry Creek, you'll be glad you did.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil keeps going up, supply waivers, and global demand is growing. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that could potentially pay you monthly income of up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. The U.S. government needs your investment in oil, and you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to reach well above $100 a barrel. Call 1-800-278-7455. Encore Energy is a very active oil and gas operator in its core eastern area of operations. If you are an accredited investor, call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment against all forms of income and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 1-800-278-7455. You'll be calling directly to the home office of Encore Energy. That's 1-800-278-7455.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by The Garage in Inglewood and Parker, home of the KNUS $99 oil change.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station.
Hi, this is George Brockler. Join me weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. only on News Talk 710, KNUS Denver's local talk leader.
Well, we have major jamming northbound and southbound on I-25, basically between Colorado Boulevard up to I-70, and looks like we have a crash southbound I-25 near Colorado Boulevard. Pretty heavy traffic north and southbound as well on I-225 from 6th Avenue up to I-70. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Discover. When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 5 o'clock, mostly cloudy skies, 85 degrees, going down to a low tonight of 37. 710 5-day forecast. Coming up, our top story, the weather after almost 90 today. Winter storm warning will be in effect Friday from noon until noon Saturday. Some snow here in the city, but the high country.
Starting tomorrow morning, actually, it should start snowing pretty good up in the foothills and mountains. And up to 2 feet of snow is expected in those areas, particularly from the tunnel eastward down to near the cities.
That's Paul Schlatter with the National Weather Service in Boulder. We have a red flag warning in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. The Pentagon is sending Ukraine another big weapons shipment. Spokesman John Kirby said the $100 million shipment includes howitzers, artillery components, and tactical vehicles. The U.S. has sent Ukraine roughly $4 billion worth of arms and equipment. Since the start of Russia's invasion in late February, Kirby was pressed on efforts by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. He said the U.S. has conducted a number of joint operations with Finnish and Swedish militaries. Kirby called them very modern and capable militaries. This update brought to you by Allstate. Looking to save money with DriveWise from Allstate? The safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today. Colorado hosts St. Louis. Avs, Blues. Avs lead 1-0. Dow finished down today, 236 points. S&P 500 down 22. Wake up with George Brockler, weekday mornings 6 to 10, only on Newstalk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Steinkruger, our producer, Roger Crittlebaugh in the newsroom. It's Thursday, the 19th of May, now 4 minutes past 5 o'clock. Please tell me you're not just tuning in. If you are, welcome and thank you. I hope you enjoyed as much. Matt and I, we're in here geeking out. We were able to take live the launch of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, taking Boeing's Crew Space Transportation 100 Starliner spacecraft. It's right now just about ready to, in the next couple of minutes, enter orbit. It's an uncrewed. Note they have changed that. It used to be unmanned. Not in 2022. Matt, let's get to real quick, see if NASA's doing anything live. And, of course, such a Colorado connection with United Launch Alliance based in Centennial. We got anything there? NASA, is this thing on? Hello, NASA. Right now, we're 9 minutes and 30 seconds mark into the flight. Took off within seconds of what they had planned. Technically, they had planned on a launch at 4:54 and 47 seconds Mountain Time, and I would say they came pretty damn close. NASA audio live from the Kennedy Space Center.
Making its way up the North American coast, just starting to go into the Atlantic Ocean, northern Atlantic Ocean. We pre-plan our flight trajectories, so we would not aboard a crew into the middle of the ocean. They'd be near enough to land for quick and speedy recovery. So we're still in that St. John's abort zone. Expect to hear that Shannon open call coming.
And we just heard that call. Shannon now open. So Starliner could potentially make that abort landing off the coast of Ireland now if needed, but so far no reason to think it will be. Starliner currently 153 kilometers above the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and that's about 95 miles.
Well, dead air for radio isn't good. I'm still, my hair was standing on end. Your hair could too. If you don't have any right now, start growing your hair tomorrow with advancedhair.com. I'm glad I'm smiling now because in the next few minutes, I will not. I don't think you will either. We'll get into that in just a moment. Many ways to get in touch with us. Hope you follow us online on our social media pages at Tub Show. We hope to get 3.1 thousand. We're going to hit that mark. We're only like maybe a few dozen away. If you are on Twitter, and a heavy emphasis on if you are on Twitter, I hope you follow us at Tub Show. Facebook as well. Welcome to our YouTube audience, possibly you tuning in live stream our simulcast 710 KNUS YouTube channel. Be sure if you're there to subscribe. You can text the studio via the free to download app, the website. You can listen to live streaming audio wherever you are on this beautiful little blue marble of ours with an internet connection. You can also hear it that way via the app and send me an email that way, and our number 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. From earlier today in the state of Oklahoma.
The bill defines fertilization as the fusion of the human sperm with the human ovum. Under the measure, anyone can sue someone in civil court who performs, aids, or abets an abortion for up to $10,000. The bill is similar to a Texas-style ban signed into Oklahoma law earlier this month, making the procedure illegal after about 6 weeks. Despite legal challenges, the Oklahoma Supreme Court denied a motion that would have halted the implementation of the 6-week ban.
That from our partners at CBS News. If you are just tuning in, earlier this afternoon, Oklahoma's legislature gave final approval to what will become, with the governor's signature, the most restrictive anti-abortion bill anywhere in the United States. On a 73-16 vote, it was mostly along party lines. The bill's sponsor told her colleagues, quote, "Is our goal to defend the right to life, or isn't it?" Close quote. And then you compare that with Colorado. We'll have more on that coming up this segment, and in fact, in just within the next couple of minutes. Again, our number, 303-696-1971. We had the National Weather Service on with us about an hour ago. Coming up here at the bottom of the hour, we will talk with our friend of the program, CBS 4 meteorologist Dave Aguilera. If you somehow have been asleep or you haven't heard, no big deal, but we are, according to forecaster Dave Bargenbrook at the National Weather Service, there's going to be a big change. I think his quote was, "cooling off big time," close quote. Up to 2 feet of snow in the next 48 hours in the foothills. The forecast in the Denver metro area, up to 10 inches of snow. Think about it. I'd also like to ask a question or a favor of you, even if you don't come on the air. Are there any arborists listening right now? Anybody? Is this thing on? Any arborists or anyone with great experience? I know that we all think we know our own little things and tricks and that kind of thing. But if you are, say, do you work at a nursery? Do you have a degree from CSU in whatever? What should we do if we encounter snow on tree limbs that have already started to leaf out? Is it helping Mr. or Mrs. Tree if we shake the heavy wet stuff off of it, or can it? Do we just leave it alone? Because sadly, I think within the next 48 hours, especially those of you that live in some of, believe it or not, I'm going to say this, some of the beautiful, mature, tree-lined neighborhoods in Denver and Decay, we are going to see, well, a load of broken branches. So if you are, maybe give us a call, 303-696-1971, or send me a text so I can pass it along to your fellow listener. What do you do? And I do apologize. It was 8 days ago. 8 days ago, this happened live at the top of one of our hours on last Wednesday's program. We take you back. Do we start out by possibly jinxing it with the weather? Should, Matt, yes or no? Should I? Should I say what I'm about to say, potentially risking jinxing it?
My vote is always yes.
Okay, I love it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's May 11th. It's 89 degrees, starting the 5 p.m. Mountain Time hour. We can proclaim that we have seen the final, oh gosh, do I do it? The final snow of the season. Matt, next week it's going to be like 31 for a high and this snowy, slushy, melty mess.
Yeah, we'll know who to blame.
That actually happened. It was 8 days ago. Well, I may have jinxed it, but I was almost spot on somehow, Nostradamus style with, or Nostradamus, whatever you prefer. We are going to get a lot of snow, at least in this general area. That is the forecast. We'll talk more about it with Dave Aguilera from CBS 4 coming up. Somebody just texted in, reminds me of the time a guy called Devil Radio and wanted Ed Green to shovel the 8 inches of partly cloudy on the driveway. See, people like Dave Aguilera, it's no win. If you're accurate, you're like, well, duh, you're doing your job. You've got all the technology. If you're wrong, you are an idiot. Somebody said, let's see here. Where is it? Oh, this is brilliant. They did have a smiley face emoji. You suck at predictions, sir. Yeah, I probably do. There were a couple of others, but thank you. Somebody did say, oh, here we go. I love this. I'll get back to being angry in a second. And I quote, this storm is going to be a dud in Denver. Definitely no accumulation on the roads, maybe a couple inches on the grass. Well, somebody's laying it on the line. Matt, we're going to rack the tape. Mark this time at about 13 minutes after 5 o'clock. Mr. or Mrs. Texter, there's one of two things that will happen. You are either going to be right or you are going to be wrong. I think they are going out on as big a limb as I did last week, 8 days ago. So we shall see. Jack and Artis, we will get to your phone calls in a moment, but as I promised I would do, and this may take just a hot minute, but based on what the Oklahoma legislature did today, again, once signed by Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt, his state will have the most restrictive anti-abortion bill in the United States of America. Well, looky here. Our partners at CBS News obtained earlier this week what is called a Threat Intelligence Bulletin. It's issued by the Department of Homeland Security's Office of Intelligence and Analysis. I want to go through this because at least right now, as we get into this bulletin, and this is a long, long email, I'm going to try to make it as radio friendly as I can. But as we go into this together, I'm still not clear who in the hell does the Department of Homeland Security feel that we should be concerned about? We, as in citizens of this country. I don't care if you're on the left or the right or you're in the middle. Are we to be scared of the far left progressive whack jobs, or are we supposed to be concerned with the far right-wing conservative whack jobs? Let's get into it. According to the bulletin, quote, domestic violence extremists, or DVEs, and criminal actors have adopted narratives surrounding abortion rights to encourage violence, likely increasing the threat to government, religious, and reproductive health care personnel and facilities and ideological opponents. Following the public disclosure of the draft majority opinion in the Supreme Court, individuals across a broad range of various DVE ideologies are attempting to justify and inspire attacks against abortion-related targets and ideological opponents at lawful protests. The volume of violent threats targeting Supreme Court justices, members of Congress, other public officials, clergy, healthcare officials, and providers, and others associated with the abortion debate are likely to persist and may increase leading up to and following the issuing of the court's official ruling. Now, according to the bulletin, the U.S. Supreme Court Police has reported the public disclosure May 2nd prompted a, quote, significant increase in violent threats, including those made online via social media. Some are under investigation. Some of those threats directed at Supreme Court justices and the Supreme Court building itself. The National Capital Region Threat Intelligence Consortium, that is a mouthful, identified at least 25 violent threats on social media that were referred to partner agencies to further investigate. This intelligence memo from the Department of Homeland Security also says that some of the threats discussed, quote, burning down or storming the U.S. Supreme Court, murdering justices and their clerks, members of Congress, and lawful demonstrators, close quote. Well, that just about explains it, doesn't it? I don't see anyone that feels like I do, or more than likely you do. If you say to the Oklahoma legislature today, you go, man, you go, women. I don't exactly think that those of us in a certain group would, in fact, think of, quote, burning down or storming the U.S. Supreme Court, close quote. And I don't think people, say, that may feel like you and me would be thinking about and making threats that discussed, quote, murdering justices and their clerks, members of Congress, and lawful demonstrators, close quote. Well, it's becoming a little bit clearer to me. How about you? It goes on. According to the document obtained by CBS News, pro-life, abortion-related violent extremists have committed at least 10 murders, as well as dozens of bombings and arsons, all targeting abortion providers. This is me now. I do not condone that. I don't condone any kind of violence. None. So what this is doing is, well, what is it saying? There are whack jobs on the left, and there are whack jobs on the right. And I would say maybe for the first time in the history of this program, I actually agree with the Department of Homeland Security. By the way, under the purview of DHS, why don't you all do something about the border issue while you're at it, making these big, long memos about the Supreme Court? Maybe you all could focus as well, because you probably have many people not doing much hard work. Maybe you could focus on the border, but that's just me. The document notes that on May 8th, an unidentified perpetrator conducted an arson attack at the headquarters of a Madison, Wisconsin family advocacy group. Remember that? It promotes abortion alternatives. Graffiti found at the scene read, quote, if abortions aren't safe, then you aren't either, close quote. And included symbols typically used by anarchist, violent extremists and others to convey anti-law enforcement sentiment. And finally, in response to CBS News reporting, DHS issued the following statement, quote, DHS is committed to protecting Americans' freedom of speech and other civil rights and civil liberties, including the right to peacefully protest. DHS is also committed to working with our partners across every level of government and the private sector to share timely info and intelligence, prevent all forms of violence, and to support law enforcement officials to keep our communities safe, close quote. Sadly, I agree with DHS that there are whack jobs on both sides of this issue. There have been, there are, and there always will be. But I think coming up, the potential violence, death, destruction, and I'm not trying to be sky is falling, I'm trying to tell you the truth. What may be ahead in the next 60 to 90 days in this country, I shudder to think at the possibilities. Jack joins us from the Bronx. Would that be the Bronx, also known as Denver and Decay, or is that really the Bronx?
Well, it's Wyoming right now.
Oh, it's that, Jack. That's right. Because you always
Yeah,
got a call
I
from.
should-
Is it just to be funny? Because just tell us where you are. I don't care.
Well, I'm in Wyoming at the moment. I was in the car a little while ago to go across the road here, and I briefly heard your show, and I heard you. It sounded to me like you were apologizing for being pro-choice. And is that
No,
right? Is that what I heard?
you did not. You did not hear me correctly. I am not apologizing for being pro-choice. I've been pro-choice my entire life, but pro-choice to me is not what this state of Colorado now allows. I am fully 100% against legislation that Polis signed earlier this year.
So am I. So am I. But anyway, I think we pretty much are coming from the same place, and I'm probably 10 times more conservative than anybody you ever talked to. But there's two issues on this abortion thing that are just that a pragmatist cannot get around. And as a conservative, you've got to be in touch with reality, and that's what pragmatism is. Abortion around for 4,000 years. There is no law that's going to be passed that's going to stop it. They had it illegal from the 20s to 30s to 50s. And what you had is people using coat hangers and back alleys and people dying. Now, do you want to go back to that? In other words, you cannot pass a law that's going to change a human behavior that's 4,000 years old. That's the pragmatic point about it. That's the futility of it. What do you think?
Oh, Jack, I appreciate it. And thank you. I will answer that by saying the following, because I got to get to one more call and then we've got to take a break. Look, this Oklahoma bill that was passed today defines life beginning at conception. And again, at the risk of going out all by myself, look, thank you. I appreciate the couple of texts came in. You know what? On this issue, I feel exactly the way you do. Thank you for that. But even if I got, and it's still certainly a possibility, not only today, but in the next 60 to 90 days especially, I think we have the distinct possibility of getting a lot of hate texts to me because of my stance. I think a woman should have a choice, but up to a certain point. And maybe this is too simplistic of thinking, I am not a medical doctor. But I go back to a Supreme Court justice in my lifetime who said, I don't know how I would describe pornography, but I know it when I see it. I know when it comes to this abortion issue, what is going to be allowed, what has been allowed, and what will be allowed in Colorado is flat out wrong. To me, there is a time limit. You do not get to be, to me, in your third trimester of pregnancy and then just decide, you know what? God, I'm sick of being pregnant. My boyfriend sent me a text that he's going to leave me if blah, blah, blah. So, you know what, doc? Let's kill it. But all at the same time, that baby could live outside of the womb just fine on his or her own. That is morally abhorrent. And at the risk again of getting hate, I've told you from the beginning of this show, February 5th, 2018, I will always tell you the truth. How I feel. I am one of those talk show hosts in this great country. I am not going to just put on a mask and take a stance just because I want you to be mad at me and we will get calls, texts, and emails. That's not me. If you met me on the street, by chance, we bump into each other, you say, do you really feel that way? I would repeat what I just said. It's not just for the show, as Balloon Boy once said in this great state. We're going to talk about snow coming, so we've got to make this quick, but Artist joins us from Aurora, and then we've got Dave Aguilera, meteorologist, CBS 4, coming up to talk about this impending storm. Good evening, friend.
Hello, Steffan. First, with your just most recent statement, it's Colorado. We can have 3 or 4 seasons in a week. It's actually not as boring as like living in Ohio,
Right?
where I grew up.
I hear you. I hear you.
Not a problem. And I remember having snow somewhere in the middle of the summer at one point. So,
I've never gone through that. I've never gone through snow in the summer in Colorado, but we all have been through. If you've been here for a hot minute, you have gone through certainly big, wet, heavy spring storms in May. What is your take? What Oklahoma did and what we've been talking about?
Well, since learning in nursing school how to save lives or help doctors save lives, and doctors, I think that's mostly what they learn in med school, it just always sickens me to know that there are doctors and medical personnel that have chosen to murder babies as their life work. I don't get it. I worked in neonatology. Even in the 80s, we were saving 23, 24 weekers. That's 6 months along.
Right.
And they came out fully formed and crying. And it just absolutely breaks my heart that we have become so heartless in this country.
Well, you know what?
There are choices.
Yeah. And, I'll give you the final word, but that is, I'm always appreciative of your call and when you listen, but that is the word that I guess I have been looking for, and I appreciate it very much. Heartless. That's when I have described on the program, not only earlier today, but within the last few weeks. When I think of the governor of Colorado signing this bill and putting pen to paper, and of course, as typical, you've got the bill sponsors behind him standing. You've got the obligatory, oh, yay, small claps and all of that when he signs it. That is exactly the word I would use among many to describe it. And that was a heartless event in the history of this state.
Well, and the fact that, as far as I understand, we still have satanic temples in this country, and they do that. It's always been, that's what Satan has required since his inception, is baby murder. I mean, he tried to murder the Lord Jesus at 2 years of age. So we shouldn't be surprised. But that last guy that said a woman that has no choice, well, 4,000 years ago, there weren't all the choices that are available today, first of which is abstinence, which I know is not practiced.
Yeah, and I don't think they were using 4,000 years ago. They weren't using coat hangers. I get your point.
Well, and just all the other things. There's lots of ways to prevent pregnancy. If you don't want to be pregnant, it amazes me that this has become the go-to solution.
I hear you. I gotta run, Artis, and thank you. I agree, it's scary, and I'll leave you with this. We're already late, but Dave Aguilera on the other side. Look, if anybody you don't know, if they are using an abortion late term as just, well, there is this option, and you know what? I screwed up. I wasn't abstinent. I didn't use birth control. Well, here's the ultimate birth control. It's sickening. Stay with us. We talk the storm next.
Well, you're still encountering major delays northbound, southbound, I-25 between Colorado and I-70. Now we're getting word of a crash on Rampo Road westbound getting onto northbound I-25. Apparently that's a bank robbery suspect involved in the crash there. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by News Nation.
Hey everybody, Randy Corcoran back Saturday with the warm-up show for the Republican Rumble at the Grizzly Rose. I'm planning on open lines all show long. Lots of people have reached out to me regarding the Dick Wadhams Hour last week. Grab the Hour 3 podcast if you haven't heard it yet. That and so much more. It's you and me, baby, Saturday.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, Saturdays from 9 to noon on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
Dad, why do your toenails look like that?
Hey, it's James, and if you're like me and suffer from toenail fungus, please pay close attention. Let's face it, toe fungus is embarrassing. I was afraid to take my socks off and hid my ugly toes from everybody. But nail fungus isn't just a cosmetic problem. It can also be dangerous. Even a small spot can spread and get worse. But no matter what I tried, it seemed like my fungus would never go away. Then I discovered Crystal Flush, the new and different FDA-registered at-home treatment. This unique two-step system flushes out fungus at its source and reverses damaged nails. Finally, me and thousands of others are free from fungus, and you can be too. Call now, and for a limited time, you can try Crystal Flush risk-free for 30 days. Call 800-354-1862. That's 800-354-1862. Eliminate your toe fungus once and for all, guaranteed. Call now, 800-354-1862, or visit crystalflush.com.
Public education has gone off the rails.
It's the most important domestic issue facing America today.
Critical race theory is dividing our children in ways that are unacceptable.
They're teaching these kids X-rated sex acts.
Our teachers are bullied. Parents are being shut out.
Less than 1/3 of America's school children are proficient in anything.
How do we empower parents to restore American values and get our public schools back on track?
You cannot use racism to eradicate racism.
Don't miss the powerful new movie, Whose Children Are They? Exposing the dark side of our public school system and how we can stop the overreaching liberal regime to take our schools back. Whose Children Are They? Available now at salemnow.com.
Whose children are they?
Whose children are they?
Whose Children Are They? Available now at salemnow.com. salemnow.com. News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
You just planted plants, didn't you? I knew it. I'll tell you why that was a bad idea coming up in our next news update right here on News Talk 710.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
As we are in for what sounds to be at least a potential humdinger of a late spring storm within the next 48 hours or so. I, of course, jinxed it. I might play that for Dave straight ahead. It was just 8 days ago. I said, I think we've seen our final snow of the season. Well, so we'll talk with Dave about that. We've already got someone via Mr. or Mrs. Texter via the Wall of Love saying, this is going to be a dud. So we shall see, shan't we? My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau have been around for 103 years. And right now, I can't imagine in Colorado that it has just been smooth sailing for a long time, because it hasn't. There are drought problems and conditions. In fact, right now, every single county in Colorado, hopefully not after this weekend, but every single of our, 64 counties is in some stage of drought. And the Colorado Farm Bureau obviously cannot cure what ails them as far as drought, but they certainly support legislatively, morality, whatever you want to say. They have the backs of our farmers and ranchers from the east, west, north, south, across the great state of Colorado. And right now, for farmers and ranchers, they're battling inflation, high cost of fuel. The budgets for families are tough. And a lot of it, that's for you and me as well. But at the Colorado Farm Bureau, they are doing everything they can to ensure that our state's farmers and ranchers are successful, and they can certainly use your help. So join me and become a Colorado Farm Bureau member. There are the bonuses and perks. Come on. You can get all the details at coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com. All right. Oh, cool. Let's see if we can. Is he there? Is this thing on? Meet my friend of the program. He's our best. Dave Aguilera. You there, brother?
Hey, James.
Are you there?
Hey, I'm sure. Hello, can you hear me?
Oh boy, it's a little windy. Yeah.
Hello, it is windy.
Oh, there
Am I
you go.
Kind of muffled here.
No,
there we go.
you're actually fine.
Hey, well, I'm doing something kind of weird here, so I hope this works out. I was doing a Facebook Live, and I actually had forgotten I was going to call you at 5:30, but we were right in the middle of a Facebook Live,
that's
so I
fine.
thought we do this and get on to Facebook as well. So
you're on Facebook right now?
I'm on Facebook right now.
Hello,
So I don't
Facebook
know if
audience.
I don't know if they can hear you because it's I've got some weird connection here. Can you guys hear Steffan? I don't think you can.
That's okay.
And my connection is bad.
Some people would say that's a bonus.
I don't. Hey, give me just a second.
Okay.
Steffan, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody that's watching here.
You got it.
Tammy and Fernando and Cindy and Joff and Nancy and Darren and Jill and Chris.
Listen
hey
to
guys,
him.
watch out. Tomorrow snow's coming tomorrow night. All righty. So we'll talk to you later. Of course, we'll be on CBS 4 at 6 o'clock. So turn on your TV. Okay. Bye everybody on Facebook. Okay.
You
I'm
are
getting
so
it out of
good.
here.
You're so good. You're amazing. You're a man of the people, Dave Aguilera. Now listen, if you can hear me just fine, I want to play for you, Dave. I shouldn't have done this, but 8 days ago, I believe in the 5 p.m. hour, the following was said by me. The following was said. I'm going to take you back. Here we go. Listen in. Do we start out by possibly jinxing it with the weather? Should Matt, yes or no? Should I? Should I say what I'm about to say, potentially risking jinxing it?
My vote is always yes.
Okay, I love it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's May 11th. It's 89 degrees, starting the 5 p.m. Mountain Time hour. We can proclaim that we have seen the final, oh gosh, do I do it? The final snow of the season. Matt, next week it's going to be like 31 for a high and this snowy, slushy, melty mess.
Yeah, we'll know who to blame.
Well, I screwed up, Dave, because apparently it is not
man.
the last snow of the season. What are you seeing, brother?
It's all your fault.
I know.
But,
well, it's either mine
I'll
or
tell you-
yours. It's either mine or yours.
That is true. I'll tell you what, though. Whatever we get, we can't get enough. We
True.
really need this today. I just did a little live show on Channel 4, and I was handling the fire danger side, and Lauren Whitney was handling the snow side. And 3/4 of the state have another red flag warning for high fire danger today. And it's
Wow.
not, by Colorado standards, it's not even that windy. We got like at the top end, maybe 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts going. It's not too bad.
Mhm.
But when it's been this dry, and then we only have single % relative humidity, and then almost near 90, that's just not a good combination around here. So this is going to be a heavy snow. You know, we always say don't plant anything and don't turn your sprinklers on until after Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And this year it's carrying on a little later than that, but that happens sometimes. I mean, the latest snow we've ever had is in June. I mean, we've had snow in Denver in June, believe it or not.
Wow.
So it's not unusual. But here's what you want to go through the timeline of what I'm expecting to happen.
100%, man.
Okay. And keep in mind, man, these late season snowstorms are really hard to predict as far as how much is going to accumulate, because temperature plays a huge role in this. I think the more important thing is the moisture content. By the time we get to the end of the day on Sunday, we're going to have over an inch of water in the Denver metro area, which is really, really going to be good. And even more than that up into the foothills. So it's going to be a lot of water in this snow coming in. So as it comes in, now tomorrow morning, we might have a little bit of rain, and most of the day we stay in the 40s tomorrow. So not going to get really cold enough for the snow to stick or anything in the metro area. Mountains will be a different story. It'll start snowing in the morning, and by noon hour, it's going to be really coming down in the mountains. But for us, it'll be a little rain, some rain during the day, light rain snow mix, and then by late afternoon into the evening, that's when the changeover should take place, when we get down to the freezing zone. So most of the accumulating snow in the Denver metro area will be Friday night into Saturday afternoon. Okay. So we have a winter storm warning for Denver from noon tomorrow till noon on Saturday. But most of the accumulation will be Friday night around this. Now, because it's so wet and because we're almost 90 today, most of the snow on the roadways will melt. So during the day, most of the roads will be wet. I don't really see them icing over until tomorrow night into Saturday morning, the way things look right now. But it could be, I'm going to give you some numbers here, and keep in mind that some of this, maybe even half of this will melt on the roadway. So this will be more on the grassy areas.
Okay.
But like downtown, maybe about 4 to 6 inches downtown. If you live Highlands Ranch, Parker, down to Monument Hill, probably more like 8 to 12 inches of snow possible in that area. If you're over on the west side, C470 up into the foothills, could be 6 to 12 inches there. And if you're in Evergreen, Conifer, Bailey, over a foot in some of those areas. Now, the real bullseye is going to be up around Estes Park, Rocky Mountain National Park, down to Berthoud Pass up that way. They could see 1 to 2 feet of snow up that way.
That's crazy.
So by the time we get done with it on Saturday afternoon, is that crazy or what?
Holy
my
cow.
gosh. And again, I can't stress enough that everything is kind of leafed out already. So
Right.
we could have some broken branches.
Yep.
If you are hardy enough, maybe Saturday morning when you get up early, keep an eye on those branches and go out and just try to knock some snow off.
All right, I'm going to
underneath.
stop you right there.
Okay.
I've put out a call. Is there any arborist that is listening to this program right now
yeah.
with me and meteorologist Dave Aguilera from CBS 4? If you are now, I don't know, you're smarter than me. Do you recommend going out on Saturday morning and going, oh, here, Mr. Tree, I'm going to shake your branches? Yes.
I would do it. Not all of them, but if you got some branches that are really hanging low, and it looks like, man, they're. And the problem is when you go through, typically we've had some rain showers, and it's been, in wet spring, wet April, wet March. We haven't had that this year.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our trees are very, very dry out there. So a lot of them are going to have a real problem. They're not going to be all bendable like they usually are, where they could go all the way down to the ground. Some of them might break, and it might be an issue there. But me personally, if I see some of my trees hanging low, I'm going to go shake them out there.
So,
don't
go ahead.
Don't bang them on top or anything, because that might add more weight.
You got to be gentle.
Underneath or shake them.
You got to be
you
gentle.
really do.
I mean, you
Really
got to be
do.
gentle. So here's a text that came in about half an hour ago. Quote,
okay,
this storm is going to be a dud in Denver. Definitely no accumulation on the roads, maybe a couple of inches on the grass. To that texter, you would say?
Yeah, you may be right. The roads, I don't think, are going to be horrible. It's going to be mostly on the grassy areas, and it's going to be an issue with trees. Maybe even power lines might be an issue with the heavy snow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be like a middle of the winter snowstorm where everything ices up and everybody's slipping around. It's going to be wet, sloppy, maybe slushy. If it does accumulate, it's going to be slushy type of snow. And I'm not really worried about that happening until maybe overnight Friday into Saturday morning.
It sounds like a Saturday morning of just, get a heavy blanket and a cup of cocoa and just don't drive. So meteorologist Dave Aguilera, we got to take a break, but I just want to, because I love you, drum roll, please. I'm going to recap Dave's forecast for the next 48 hours in the greater Denver metro area. Meteorologist Dave Aguilera, follow him on Twitter and Facebook and watch him tonight on CBS Denver, Channel 4. Your forecast officially is, well, friends, there could be from 1 inch to 24 inches.
Well, yeah, that's probably true over the span of several miles.
That's exactly right. Listen, I hope, though, we don't see that power outage stuff and those limbs, because it's for some of those neighborhoods that are so beautiful around our area with those big, mature trees that have started to leaf out. It's so sad to see them when they get all the broken branches and stuff. I'll leave you with the final word, my man, because we got to take a break, but nobody better than you.
All right, man. And I would just a couple of other mentions. I know a lot of people potted their plants and stuff like that. bring those into the garage or closer to the house because that's going to be really weighed down. And if you do have your sprinkler system already up and running, the pipes in the ground are going to be fine. It's not a hard freeze. If you have any pipes above ground, maybe throw a little blanket over them or trash bag or something like that. But it's not going to be a hard freeze. The coldest will be is about 29 on Saturday morning. So typically stuff right next to your house is not going to get quite that cold. That's way out in the open with the wind blowing on it and everything. So I'm not too concerned about the freeze, but if you take those precautions, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, remind your television audience later tonight. You can attribute it to the Stephen Tube show as we've been talking about in the newscasts, unscrew your hose. That's always a pro tip.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
thank you, my
idea.
man. Nobody better.
Right.
I love you, and thank you so much. Meteorologist Dave Aguilera. What a solid dude. And I love the fact you can just hear the enthusiasm in his voice. Just, oh my goodness, it's coming. We're way late, but thank you to Dave. Watch him on CBS Denver. We'll be back to wrap up this hour coming up next.
News Talk 710. Update.
Good evening. Mostly cloudy skies. 85 in Denver. Our low tonight down to 37. 710 5-day forecast. Coming up, our top story, the weather. After almost 90 today, a winter storm warning will be in effect Friday at noon until noon Saturday. Some snow here in the city expected, but the high country?
Starting tomorrow morning, actually, it should start snowing pretty good up in the foothills and mountains. And up to 2 feet of snow is expected in those areas, particularly from the tunnel eastward down to near the cities.
That's Paul Schlatter with the National Weather Service in Boulder. We do have a red flag warning in effect right now until 8 tonight. Road closures, evacuations are over for those living near a wildfire burning in Teller County. The High Park fire is around 87% contained after burning almost 1,600 acres. Firefighters believe incoming wet weather will help them get even more control over the flames. Still not known what caused that fire to start up. This update brought to you by Done Right. If you're going to do it right or don't bother. Call Done Right for kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, and even replacement windows and doors. 800-362-8370 or drhi.com. Evidence collection in the Buffalo grocery store mass shooting wrapping up. That's the word today from Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown, who led a briefing in front of the Tops Market today. And a new Netflix documentary all about J-Lo called Halftime, about her work prepping for the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. That is coming out if you need something to watch. Dow finished down today, 236 points. Wake up with George Brockler, weekday morning, 6 to 10, only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. I'm Roger Kurtelbach.
Still looking at major delays north and southbound I-25 from Colorado up to I-70. Now we have a crash on the west side, southbound C-470 or eastbound C-470 at Morrison. That's causing major delays back to I-70. And a crash westbound Arapahoe Road on the ramp to northbound I-25. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Watch Banfield weeknights at 8 Mountain on the fastest growing cable news network in America, News Nation. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us for your TV provider.
How to keep your kids safe while they play sports. I'm Dr. Drew Orden, host of The Doctors, and these are the doctor's orders. One of the best ways for your children to stay active and healthy is to play sports, but it's also important to keep them safe too. Before joining a sports team, make sure your child receives a physical exam. Educate your child on how to stay well hydrated before, during, and after the big game. This is especially important when it's very hot out. And the helmet is still one of the most effective ways to reduce head injury and death from hits and falls. For information on keeping your children safe and healthy, log on to thedoctorstv.com. I'm Dr. Drew Orden, and those are the doctor's orders.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more. libertymutual.com.
Hey, it's George Broccoli with 710 KNUS. For a business owner like me, it's always tax season. The Employee Retention Credit is a great way to pay down back taxes or to receive your credit from the IRS via check. The taxpayer advocates, and they are advocates, at El Dorado Tax Solutions offer real-world solutions, not empty promises like so many do. This boutique firm can help stop bank levies and garnishments. Call El Dorado Tax Solutions at 720-769-7433 to see if you qualify for ERC credits and or to discuss your tax liability. That's El Dorado Tax Solutions at eldoradotaxsolutions.com.
Are you a U.S. manufacturer or do you want to become one? There are huge tax incentives available for you that you might not know about. If that's you, call Steve Cooper and his team at URSOP to find out if you qualify. URSOP stands for Entrepreneur Rollover Stock Ownership Plan. They've helped countless people create plans that are safe, totally legal, and IRS approved. Call 866-MY-URSOP or go to ersop.com.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by Littleton Jewelry, your home for custom jewelry, diamonds, and repairs.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS. Denver's local. Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710 KNUS.
Along party lines on what was it, like a 73-16 vote pending the governor's signature to have the strictest anti-abortion law in the country. Let's get to Mary in Wyoming. Mary, welcome. Thank you for your call and good evening.
Hi, good evening, Steffan. I struggled in making this call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because what I wanted to talk about was, what was it like back then when Wade, when that legislation was passed? And people, I think, who are making decisions, they make it sound like it was so easy. And they were not dealing with what it was back in that, which was in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, birth control, remember, just came out.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, you did not have that capability. You had foam, spermicide, condoms, and there was something. And in that regard, I mean, so you didn't have that nice solid day after morning pill,
right,
or birth control. So we were at women were at a real disadvantage at that point. I got pregnant my first time out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to have a baby. I wanted to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, I'm pregnant. I ended up having an abortion. I had 3. I didn't use it as birth control. It turns out I had a medical condition that it was easy for me to get pregnant with my uterus dropping down, that my doctor said he was the only person I know who could get pregnant off a toilet seat.
Mm.
But in my first time being out, in other words, I didn't have the luxury. I'm a minority woman. And the white women, they went to Switzerland. Their family would send them to Switzerland for an abortion. We low-income people and blue-collar women, we didn't have that luxury. So we're the ones that had the coat hanger abortions. That meant, and I don't think that when people are talking about it, that they understand how dangerous. I mean, when you went under that coat hanger, you didn't know if you were going to live or not.
Let me ask you something, Mary. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Would you mind? Would you hold through? I would love to continue the conversation with you. The computer is going to cut me off in just about a minute, and I have no power to stop it. So would you mind if we put you on hold? And I want to take you right out of the newscast. I want to continue the conversation with you. And I really, really, really greatly appreciate your call. So that's cool?
Okay.
Okay, great. We'll put Mary on hold, and we'll pick up the conversation She just had indicated that she has had 3 abortions and that low income did not have, and to use what she just said about flying to Switzerland. I'm a little boy. I was born in February of 1969. Roe is in 1973. I am a little boy. I don't go through this and remember it. But I will say this, no matter how you feel about Mary right now, and I hope Mary can hear me say this, a huge commendation to you. Big props, because she even indicated to you, her fellow listener, that this was a difficult call to make. Let's continue the conversation with Mary from Wyoming. That'll be after the 6 o'clock news. It takes guts to talk about this, especially. Steffan Tubbs, 710 KNUS.
The Western Conservative Summit is one of the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States. I'm Jeff Hunt. Join us June 3rd and 4th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort in Denver, Colorado.
This year's summit features former Trump press secretaries Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and just added Betsy DeVos, Matt Walsh, and Tulsi Gabbard. Get tickets today at 710knus.com.
We'll see you at the summit.
Thinking of selling your home? Do you want to net the most money? What if you could eliminate your top selling expense? Hi, George Brockler here, and I guarantee that you will net the most money with my friend, realtor Gay Ribble, the Ribble Group Keller Williams Realty DTC through her zero commission program. This program is designed to guarantee that you net the most money by having the buyer pay, wait for it, all the commission. The Phillips family thought this was too good to be true until they called Gay Ribble. Within 1 day, they were under contract for $16,000 more than a previous realtor had told them they could get, and the buyer paid all the commission. The Ribble Group's zero commission program makes it easy, matching your home to one of their buyers who, again, will pay all the commission. To learn more about the zero commission program, call the Ribble Group at 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or visit Gay, spelled Gaye, hasthebuyers.com. That's Gay, hasthebuyers.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barata. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling is your source for junk hauling, decluttering, demolition, cleanouts, and e-waste recycling. Whether it's clearing out an entire home, one room, or commercial space, J-Dog provides the best service at very competitive prices. Trust J-Dog to haul it out without you having to lift a thing. They are veteran-owned, operated, and hiring. Visit them at veteran-junkbizco.com. That's veteran-junkbizco.com.
KNUS Denver, a Salem Media Group station. News Talk 710, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Get tickets online at 710knus.com.
Well, the worst part of your I-25 drive will be north and southbound between Colorado Boulevard up to about Spear Boulevard. Also slow southbound 25 from I-70 down to Spear Boulevard. And we have a crash I-25 northbound on the ramp to eastbound I-76 along with a fuel spill. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Watch Dan Abrams live weeknights at 7 Mountain on the fastest growing cable news network in America, News Nation. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us for your TV provider.
Denver's local talk leader. News Talk 710 KNUS. The news now.
It's 6 o'clock, mostly cloudy and 85 in Denver, going down to a low of 37. 710 5-day forecast coming up. And the weather is our top story. Almost 90 today. Winter storm warning will be in effect Friday from noon until Saturday at noon. Some high country snow. What about down here?
Bet right now on the west and south sides of Metro Denver, we're thinking 5 to 10 inches, and then less the further east you go, maybe just 1 to 4 inches east of Denver.
Paul Schlatter with the National Weather Service in Boulder. We do have a red flag warning until 8 tonight. Unscrew your hose. Days after 10 people were shot and killed in the Buffalo supermarket, families grieve.
They just shoot people down like dogs. That doesn't make any sense to me. It shouldn't have happened.
This update brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Biggie Bag is just $5. Get your choice of a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs. Small fries and a small drink, all for $5. U.S. price and participation may vary. 11 people stole at least 130 cars from streets and parking lots across the metro area. That, according to a grand jury indictment announced today. They then used credit cards and identification documents found inside to commit more crimes. Investigators with the Colorado Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force estimated that the total value of stolen property and cars exceeded $3.1 million. Heat and Celtics game 2 tonight, NBA playoffs. Heat lead 1-0. Dow finished down 236 points today. Wake up with George Brockler weekday mornings from 6 to 10, only on Newstalk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit.
It's springtime in the Rockies. We'll go from warm to cold real fast. A winter storm watch is in effect Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Tonight, cloudy enough, turning colder, upper 30s with a chance of showers after midnight. Much colder Friday with rain and thunderstorms likely, mid to upper 40s. Areas of rain and snow turning to all snow Friday night into Saturday morning. Accumulations likely and sharply colder. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
A longtime newsman with an opinion, a proud dad, an American, supporter of our veterans and active duty military. Common sense discussion begins now. This is the Steffan Tubbs Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Together up until just before 7 o'clock. Later on this hour, we will kind of recap for you the Atlas V Starliner liftoff from Kennedy Space Center in Florida just before 5 o'clock. Earlier in the program, we were able to bring that to you live. So cool, and a great Colorado connection with United Launch Alliance based in Centennial. The other big story that we're following for you is the Oklahoma anti-abortion bill. When signed, the governor of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt, says he will sign what will become, on the books officially, the nation's strictest anti-abortion bill. Of course, you know, I don't need to tell you or remind you of how Colorado currently is. And those who support it will say, well, may it remain this way forever. More from our partners at CBS News and our friend of the program, Steve Futterman.
The law bans most abortions after fertilization. In that sense, it's more restrictive than the much talked about Texas law that bans abortions after around 6 weeks. Those opposed to abortion say the law is necessary.
If you allow the 6 weeks, then you are condoning abortion up to that point.
The law does make some exceptions for rape, sexual assault, and incest, but only when it's first reported to law enforcement officials. It will go into effect immediately once signed by the governor. He has said he will sign it. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
We welcome you into our final hour of the program. Welcome to those of you who are watching. Thank you. Hi. on our YouTube simulcast, the 710 KNUS YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. You can send me a text to the Wall of Love via the 710 KNUS app, our website, of course. You can do a whole bunch of stuff, including listen live stream our potential global audience wherever you are. Thank you so much. We continue a call that we received just before the computer was going to cut me off, so I appreciate Mary joining us. And before we bring Mary on, I just want to recap from what she had told us before, that it was first a difficult phone call. And this is even before her coming back on with us. She said it was a difficult phone call, and I believe it. And to anyone, no matter what Mary says in the coming moments ahead, I hope you will appreciate the fact, even if you don't agree with some of the choices that Mary has made, the choice to come on the air is a big deal, especially in such a contentious issue and topic like this. So I have a tip of the cap to individuals, our listeners like Mary, who will come on when it would certainly be easier to just maybe scream at the radio or talk to yourself or whatever. Instead, she made the phone call. I will say this, it's a hell of a lot more courageous than some of our idiots that listen to this program, who only call Matt and complain and say they don't want to go on the air. And with that said, let's bring Mary back on. And Mary, thank you for your patience and so forth. I'm not quite sure how much, and I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Obviously, we don't know each other. I also want to be respectful of you. So I'm not quite sure how many questions that I can ask and that you won't be offended at. I will treat you, our number one rule on the program is we keep it civil. And I've already, hopefully you heard, I've indicated, I think it takes a lot of guts to call. So are you okay if I ask a few questions?
Definitely. And
Okay.
please do. And I would like to say, at that time back in the 60s, I was a Democrat and pro-choice.
Mm-hmm. What about today?
And you have to go back to that in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Orphanages for Black kids. In other words, what were my options? Orphanages for Black kids were appalling. So there was no way that I would bring a child into the world and put them through that. There weren't options. I was a teenager when I got my first abortion.
Mm-hmm. How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 19.
Mm-hmm. Was that, let me ask you this, Mary, was that, and please, again, I'm not trying to offend at all. What was that, and I hope you understand what I'm saying. Was that a tough decision? Was it an agonizing decision? Was it a decision that was, I don't know, only you would know, was it easier than you thought it would be? Can you kind of explain?
No, I was brought up Catholic school and had gone into convent for the first 6 months.
So it had to be agonizing.
I mean, after sex you were supposed to kill yourself. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
You were raped, you died.
Mm-hmm.
Back in those days. That was the teaching. I mean, it wasn't just saying no. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a rape, but I'm saying it was my first time out. I look back and think I wanted to experiment. I wanted to find out what sex was. I didn't want to have a baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned back then, you said you were a Democrat and pro-choice. Is that the same today?
No. I'm more of what you were saying. I believe there should be a period of time, because back then we were also told, remember, that those were just a bunch of cells.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a baby.
Well, you're looking at most Democrats in Colorado under the Golden Dome, at least the elected leaders. That's exactly what they think. And they will say that, they try to convince themselves, if they don't say the word baby and they only use the term fetus, that it's okay in the third trimester to just, get rid of that, that conglomeration of cells.
Well, that's been proven wrong. So in other words, that's one of the reasons on what I have changed on. And after experiencing that and knowing, I did my abortions the first trimester. I ended up having a child and this is an example of not knowing I was pregnant, thinking I had, et cetera. I went into the emergency room and I'm thinking I had a stomach ache or something. And they're telling me, I'm pregnant. And I remember getting off of the table in that emergency room and squatting down because I had an IUD. I was taking birth control pills, and I had used a condom and still got pregnant.
Wow.
So I'm saying I'm lucky when it comes to wanting, to have children. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say there are probably
want-
probably people even listening to us right now, and they're going, God, if I could only have half, and I'm not even being funny.
I
So
agree.
many people have so much difficulty in conceiving and having a baby and so forth. Again, we're talking with Mary. She is, and I understand this is the first time you've called, and I just really respect you for coming on the radio station and this program. I just got a text, and this is from one of our regular texters. Says, tell your caller there are conservative people who don't think ill will of people like you. Props to you as well. What kind of, if you're willing to go there with me, I'm wondering with an individual like you that has gone through three abortions, and you have had a change of heart, over the decades, what kind of guilt, if any, exists in your mind?
You do. I mean, I'm closer to 80 than I am 70. And I guess I look back, I think about, I remember the movement in my belly. And back in those days, remember, because I wanted to talk about having the coat hanger.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was people make it sound like it was easy for women to go through that. It was a terrible experience. I mean, first of all, the degradation of going into these sleazy motels. It was old. It was dirty.
Wait, so you're saying
nasty.
that's what you went through?
Yeah, I went through 3 abortions.
No, I know you said that, but I mean, we're talking these were performed not in a medical type setting.
No, that's what it was like back in those days before. Wait, before the legislation. You pay and these were not doctors. These were people who, they were the neighborhood person. You went to the abortion, and you meet them in these sleazy hotels. You paid them $50. They would, the room was nasty. You lay down on the bed. They would take a coat hanger and take it apart to the sharp period. And you'd lay down, and they would take a coat hanger.
You know what? We're having trouble with you, Mary, and I'm about to pull my hair out. We're having a little trouble with your phone line. It is most likely on our freaking end. Anybody in management listening right now? We're going to put Mary on hold. I greatly apologize. I'm supposed to move on. I'm supposed to pretend like we don't have a bad phone line, that it's Mary's fault. No, I think it's internal, and I'll probably get yelled at. I don't care. I always keep it straight with you. We're going to try to reestablish our connection. Trust me, you think you're frustrated? We'll try to get back with Mary, who is sharing something. I've got to tell you, 32 plus years of this business. We're into our 5th year together as a talk show host. I have never had an interview like this. I was not making, and it's probably because I was dense, I was not making the literal comparison. When she said coat hanger, I thought it was just in general. I had no idea that's how she went through it. Good God. So please, I appreciate your patience. Give us a little grace, and we'll try to get, hopefully we can get Mary back. That is just, and again, for some of you listening, I know that you think that a woman like Mary, when she passes, will go to hell. I know a lot of you think that. But if this is not an example of the beauty of radio, is you never know who's listening. And I always say the scary part is you never know if anyone is listening. Again, wow. We'll try to reconnect with Mary. And first, though, we couldn't do programs like this without our friends and our sponsors. Joyce and Brent Oliver have operated Roll 'em Out Shelves, a Colorado small business, for nearly 2 decades. This is year 19. And they offer simple storage solutions, clean quality construction. It's considered a mini home upgrade. It's Roll 'em Out Shelves. They're built in their Brighton facility. They're made of sturdy Baltic birch. The shelves are right here and guaranteed for life. They can install them in your kitchen like they did mine. But not only your kitchen, your bathroom, laundry room, pantry, basement, anywhere where you have cabinet space, Roll 'em Out Shelves can make it so much easier. Seriously. They do free in-home estimates, no high pressure. You're going to love working with Joyce and Brent, mom and son powerhouse team. And don't put it off any longer. Nothing feels better than decluttering and getting more organized with Roll 'em Out Shelves. So maximize your space and don't wait. Call them today for your free estimate, 303-475-9601. That's 303-475-9601, or rollemoutshelves.com and tell them Steffan sent you. Please say a little prayer. Let's hope our phone problems have cleared up. Mary is back. Mary, tell me that you can hear me okay and we can hear you.
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So I
was describing what it was like to have a coat hanger puncture your uterus, and what you had to do at that point, you go home, and then you would start bleeding. And you had to wait far enough because, remember, it was a criminal to have abortions back in that time.
Were you scared? Were you scared of that aspect of it?
I knew I could die.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. You could have died in that room. Or did you say this was a hotel room? Did you say it was a hotel?
No, it's a motel, sleazy motel. It wasn't Motel 6. It was on the airport row, on the grill. They were nasty. They were dark.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what the abortionist paid, you know what I mean, to have the room, but I mean, they did not use high class or clean sheets or anything. I'm just trying to give the experience that people did not think that it was something that someone would intentionally want to do.
Let me ask
did
you,
it because I had no way to support a child. This was before you had welfare. In other words, if you did not have money, how were you going to put food on the table, a roof over there, etc.? There was no. This is the 60s. This was before welfare came out. Nobody was going to pay for diapers. And at that time, you used to use cloth diapers. You didn't have disposable diapers or
I was a cloth. I was a cloth diaper baby.
I mean, it's a whole different era when all this was going on, when this legislation was coming on. That's why I'm calling. I think that people kind of wave this magic wand like, oh, it's just a matter, everything, there will be all these government services, et cetera. There wasn't anything like that at that point.
Let me ask you this: how far along were you? How far along were you at the most? How long? How many weeks?
Would be the first trimester, the first 12 months. At the first time,
12 weeks. Yeah.
I tried so many homemade solutions, castor oil. Tried so many different what they called remedies to get the baby to drop, you know what I mean, before doing coat hanger. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the crap.
Oh, I hear you.
That you used to think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That hopefully that would abort the baby by taking something, pills, liquids, etc.
And again, tell everybody how old you were.
I was 19.
And then your second, how old were you?
I'm sorry, the second, I don't remember exactly. I mean, it's all within before 22 years of age.
So 3 abortions by 22.
Right. And like I said, I wasn't using it as birth. I mean, that's what I always hated is hearing people say, oh, you use it as birth control. No, I wasn't using it as birth control. I was using whatever thing that they had. When birth control came out, I was using it. When IUD came out, I was using it. You know what I mean? When foam, unfortunately, some of the men I was working with, they didn't like condoms back in those days. There wasn't the support of using a condom when you were having sex. And people have a tendency to forget that.
Did you?
Different era.
Were you ever
I
able
wanted
to?
The hospitals at that time, remember, they did not have to treat you unless you had money. People have a tendency to forget a whole different era. In other words, if you did not have money, you did not go to the hospital back in those days.
Right. Were you able to ever tell any of your family or friends?
The older audience will know that that's true.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Were you ever able to share this with any family or friends, or did you keep it a secret?
No, it was a secret. My parents were strict Catholics. Are you kidding? And when I did have my child, my dad kicked me out of the house. You did not have a child out of wedlock.
And how old were you when you had your child?
I was 22.
So what was the difference? Why wasn't there a fourth abortion?
The fourth abortion that I had, I was the first when they had the legislation passed.
1973. Yeah. No, I want to be sure that I'm accurate in hearing you. You said you had hold on a minute. You said you had 3 abortions. And then you said also you had a child in
between. Yes, I had 2 children total.
Okay.
I had a child, like I said, and
you were still kicked out of the house with the first kid.
Well, that was when I actually had the child that got kicked out of the house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The second child is the one I described when I had the IUD. I remember getting off the table and checking for those strings that hang down, and I still had them, and I was really PO'd because I shouldn't have been able to get pregnant. That's what I was told by Planned Parenthood. You know what I mean? So at any rate, and that was later on. That was after the fourth abortion I had 3, and I said all along, I had 3 that were with the coat hanger. The fourth one was under when the legislation had passed. Virginia Mason Hospital in Washington State was the first one to perform it, and I was the first patient.
Wow. And was that the final one?
That was the final one.
Mary, I'm going to put you on hold. We've got to take a break, but I want to continue our conversation with Mary from Wyoming. If you are on hold and you have comments about this, I ask you to just pack your patience, as the cliche goes, and we'll try to get to your calls, but we're going to see if Mary can continue to join us on the other side. Again, 32 years in this business, I have never had someone who has called and has been this upfront. And forgive me in confusing. I thought it was 3. No, there was there was at least 1 kid, and then the third, and then a fourth. And again, I want to just as a disclaimer, I, by the way, do not know Mary. I did not know she was calling, but I do want to say once again, she said right off the top when she called in our last segment last hour, she had said, this is a difficult call to make. You may think that Mary is going to die and go straight to hell for what she has done. That is between you and your thoughts and your God and all of that. But I'm just wanting to say it takes guts. It does. And I hope I am proving to you that, yes, we operate with the number 1 rule. We keep it civil. So we'll take a quick break and be back with Mary. Try to get to your phone calls as well. If you are facing hair loss, our friends at Advanced Hair Restoration can help you. I mean, probably not today because it's now, almost 6:30, but they certainly can tomorrow. Give them a call. I'll give you the phone number. It's easy. Find out if your bald spot, receding hairline, or thinning hair is maybe optional for you. And you may be like, wait a minute, what? I thought it was just Mother Nature. I can't do anything about it. You could have relief just knowing that a full head of hair is a real possibility for you, no matter if it's been years or decades. Advanced Hair's one-day treatment begins growing your own natural hair the very next day. It's backed by their industry-leading guarantee. They can address decades of hair loss in just a day for you and with you. Advanced Hair's exceptional standard of care always makes it the perfect time when it finally is maybe in your brain. Yeah, I'm going to do something about it. Well, Pursue your needs. Do yourself a favor. Set up the free consultation. If you choose to move forward, you're also going to get a couple of bonuses like $250 off. Plus, they'll throw in an additional 250 free hair grafts. 720-459-HAIR. Their process is incredibly simple. Making the call is maybe the hardest part. 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR. Or view the before and after pictures at advancedhair.com. We continue with Mary coming up next.
Looks like we may have a new crash I-25 southbound again near Colorado Boulevard, and possibly another one southbound I-25 near Broadway. What that means is major delays back to about 6th Avenue. I-70 westbound also running very heavy between Quebec over to York. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Whatever you love listening to, you'll find it on Audible. Best-selling audiobooks, exclusive originals, podcasts, and more. Sign up and start free at audible.com.
Hey everybody, Randy Corcoran back Saturday with the warm-up show for the Republican Rumble at the Grizzly Rose. I'm planning on open lines all show long. Lots of people have reached out to me regarding the Dick Wadhams Hour last week. Grab the Hour 3 podcast if you haven't heard it yet. That and so much more. It's you and me, baby, Saturday.
Wake up with Randy Corcoran, Saturdays from 9 to noon on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Keep our schedule full? Seasonal incentives? Oh, yeah. Hi, Dan Cicchini, Done Right Home Improvements. Now is the time to call and save a full 12% off all services for select install dates. 800-362-8370 or drhi.com.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism can affect any family. Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Feels great getting back into the office and seeing the gang again. I feel like a dentist. I can see everyone's beautiful pearly whites again. Anywho, wow, who sent these Duffy rolls?
Let me look. The card says, "Love doing business with you all. Enjoy the fresh Duffy rolls. Bon appetit, Charlie."
We love that, Charlie. And we love Duffy rolls.
Duffy Rolls. It's a Colorado thing. Have some delivered to the folks you do business with. It'll make their day. DuffyRolls.com for catering and delivery. DuffyRolls.com.
Bear, the rescue dog, had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur. And Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Hello, Discover here to explain our cash back match. Here's how it works. We give you cash back for using your Discover card on the things you were going to buy anyway. Then we match that cash back in your first year. And that's why we call it Cashback Match. Now to recap and say cashback one more time. We match all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year automatically. Discover. Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by Littleton Jewelry, your home for custom jewelry, diamonds, and repairs.
Marhaba, the Lord is love. This is Father Andre Mahana with Mission of Hope and Mercy. Join me for Good Sunday Morning with Father Andre every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. You'll hear interviews with public figures, policymakers, experts in religious liberty and Judeo-Christian values. You can help bring hope and freedom across the globe. It is time to strengthen your own faith, our family, and community. So come and have a good Sunday morning with me, Father Andre, at 9:30 a.m. every Sunday right here on News Talk 710 KNUS.
The CDC approving another Pfizer COVID booster shot. I'll let you know all the details in our next news update right here on News Talk 710.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs, News Talk 710, KNUS.
had 4 abortions. She has a couple of kids as well. And one of the things that I think maybe of the thesis statement, if you will, of what Mary really wanted to call about, and I understand she's a first-time caller, is just remember, as so many people have so dug into this issue on both sides, Roe v. Wade and the leak from within the last couple of weeks, and will next month be the beginning of a summer of hell 2022 because of the fact that Roe could be overturned. Mary wanted to, I believe, if I'm listening accurately, that we just got to kind of take yourself back, she says, to the 1960s when there were these so-called back alley abortions. But Mary, and I know it's this is a family show. If you've got the kids, this is a very mature topic. But Mary, in our last segment, described how she literally, at some seedy motel, went through an abortion, and it was performed by someone not a doctor. She had to pay, and they literally used a coat hanger. Mary continues, and I appreciate your time. I just hope you know how appreciative I am from the perspective that not a lot of people have your guts to come and share such intimate detail, and especially on such a hot button topic for seemingly forever, but especially since the early 1970s. If I can, Mary, as we continue with you, I really have to ask, I don't know how long, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I don't even need an answer, but I don't know how long you've known that this show is on, but I'm more not concerned. I'm more curious as to how come, like this was the evening that you said it was difficult, but you're like, you know what? I'm going to call. How come tonight?
Because of what this legislation is that they didn't allow for any time for a woman. I still believe the woman, it is their body. And they should, I'm like you in what you said, is that there should be the ability to have a time before they make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
This thing about going all the way until the baby's born is ridiculous.
Right.
That's wrong.
Right.
But there should be a period of time that a woman has the right to choose. It is her body, her life.
Right.
I feel,
go ahead.
when I say I'm pro-choice that way, but not that you can murder the baby.
Right. Well, you and I are we are walking lockstep. That is exactly how I feel, and I appreciate the fact that you're recalling what I said from earlier today and in the past. You're 100% describing my feeling as accurate. I have always been pro-choice, whether that was because of the way I was raised or my political beliefs. I feel like there should be, the woman is in charge of her own body. And like you, to a point, there comes a point to me where when that baby can just, if magically you could just go, there's no birth, vaginal or C-section, you just could snap your fingers and that baby could be on a table in the maternity ward. If that baby can survive on his or her own, that is murder. And the way the state of Colorado has it on the books now, and they will hope, they say, I guarantee you, everyone would say, and it should be this way forever and eternity, that is murder. And I am embarrassed, among many different emotions, to live in a state where that is acceptable. And then, like you say, juxtapose that with what happened today in Oklahoma, what we've seen in Texas. I don't know. Your call has made the program. I hope you understand the way I mean that. And it's just, to me, it is just fascinating to hear your calm, cool recollection. And I will say that, and I hope you know I mean this with respect. I don't know if, and you've made it very clear that, socioeconomic factors certainly played into your decisions. But after the first abortion, and then the second, and then the third, I think some people would say, why did you, lady, continue to have sex, whether it's protected, IUD, condom, whatever? But then by the fourth, I mean, was there ever a possibility you would have thought, well, I'd consider doing a fifth? I don't know.
It wasn't until towards the end that then my doctor told me I had the medical condition that my uterus would drop, which would mean would almost fall out of my body, which meant dead and dying sperm could impregnate me.
Right. I know, but I want to play devil's advocate with you. After the first or second or third or fourth, I mean, I'm not telling you what to do. And again, I hope you know I respect you, but I want to play devil's advocate and say, there are people probably that would say, well, listen, lady, then you might maybe you go through something else or just don't have sex. You know
I don't have life and have sex. And I think that is, that was how I would say. Being older after 40, that ends up having to be anyway. But my point is that I'm young. Would you tell a young man that?
Oh, I'm
that because would you tell them that they can't have sex or enjoy?
No, well, I'm not telling you that you can't have sex, but the answer to that unequivocally, yes. If there's anything I am not, that is, I am not sexist. I am not misogynist. I'm not saying, well, I would absolutely, if I had a young man on the air or, somebody of your age now, but telling me in the past, I don't know what, but I had like super sperm. They could not even have a uterus and I could get them pregnant, so to speak. I would have said the exact same thing to that young, or to, what would have been a young man back in the day, that I just kept getting people pregnant. I would absolutely have said, maybe, I don't know, you think maybe you shouldn't have sex for a while, maybe get things to kind of cool down there, so to speak. So to the direct answer, and I don't take offense, but I would absolutely tell a man that as well.
Remember, at that time, birth control wasn't, how I want to say, as something you can depend upon.
No, I understand. I understand.
When it first came out, in other words, I was taking birth control. That was my first line of defense. I added spermicide. I added an IUD at the same time. I was on 3 different kinds of things to prevent getting pregnant.
I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, that literally, that is like, I mean, I don't know what doctors did tell you, but I mean, that is, I've never heard that in my life.
I know, but
Yeah.
I couldn't be the only one. But birth control, remember, there was a lot when it first came out at that time. It wasn't guaranteed. And I'm just saying, I feel I was being responsible. I wasn't told that one of the reasons I was so susceptible to get pregnant until towards the end of my 20s. That's when I found out. And I guess I'm saying, and there was a time in between. I told you about the 2 children.
Right.
And one was when I had gotten married. So I did want a child. The second one was, it was past gestation, the first trimester. So I didn't abort. I had the child. I didn't do a late-in abortion. You know what I mean? I had the child.
Yeah.
I tried to be responsible.
What would you say, let me ask you this, Mary, and you've been too kind. You've been on with us almost an hour, and I can't thank you enough for that. And I really, really hope this isn't your last call to the program. What would you say if you had, I just want to throw this out there hypothetically, Colorado and what we saw the governor sign earlier this year. If you had the governor's ear, if you had Jared Polis right in front of you and he's at a cocktail party, but he has to pay attention to Mary from Wyoming, what would you tell him?
Exactly what, and personally what you said has been exactly what I would say. There needs to be a period of time. I think that, that should be determined by our legislators. I think the first trimester decision, because you can go 2 menstrual cycles without, being pregnant and not know. So you need to get, and then doing rape, incest, etc. makes sense.
Right.
It should be what they called reasonable person decision. In other words, but you do not get to do late term.
Right.
Especially nowadays, you have the morning after pill. You have good birth control. You know what I
And to
mean?
your point, yeah, and to your point that you have made, is there is a hell of a lot more options today. There's a hell of a lot more, how shall I say, educational material available, et cetera. And I just hearing you and making the comparison, I think your call has been personally to me, your call is invaluable because you did have kind of this air of pump the brakes type thing, and I think that is exactly what we needed, especially on
And
a
I
day when
want
Oklahoma did what it did.
and Steve, what I wanted to get across was it was a different era
Yeah.
when that legislation was passed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People were dying. I mean, women, in the back room abortions, you died.
Well, what you have shared,
I
Mary,
mean,
is just as a
you know,
God-fearing Christian soul, love my fellow man, men, women, of color, being white, whatever. I feel for you and what you went through, and I am in your debt for making this phone call. Will you do me a favor? Can we end on a kind of a funny? Are you okay with that?
definitely.
Okay, this is for you. This is what we do with as many as we can, our first-time callers. So, Matt, let's hit it. That's right. The trumpets for Mary, a first-time caller. And if I can make a request, would you call again?
Definitely. And thank you to your listeners. I mean, however they want to judge me is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I've accepted that and I've accepted what I've done.
Let me
You
read
know what
this
I
to
mean?
you. Let me
And
read a couple of these, and I'm glad you brought up our listeners because let me read some of the texts that literally are coming in. This from one of our terrific texters, Steve. Steffan, please tell Mary how much I admire her courage and respect the difficult decisions she had to make. This one, what a brave caller. Um, I mean that just about says it all. From a couple of people. Mary is a brave woman to come on air. This text says, um, "Thank you. You've given us a lot to think about, and I look forward to your next call." Okay.
okay, I just wanted people to know what it was like on when that legislation was passed and why.
Yep.
The legislation, I think, should go to the states. I do agree with what the Supreme Court
Mm-hmm.
was saying, and and I just wanted to explain on the point of why the legislation was needed. Unless you were rich and you could afford to go to Switzerland, the rest of us were to the point that we could die.
We'll leave it at that. Mary from Wyoming, I will long remember your phone call and thank you. We've got to take a timeout. Frankly, friends, I don't know how much time we will have for your phone calls, but we can try to squeeze them on. I mean, you know what? Again, I don't know Mary. I don't know if you're listening or you're not. I don't know if Mary's listening or she's not. I don't know if there are 10 more Marys out there that wouldn't make the phone call, but I hope you at least would see, I guess, with me that whether or not, and again, I tried to play devil's advocate at times, and I stick and stuck with our number one rule. I want to keep it civil. Also, at the same time, I understand in even playing devil's advocate with Mary a few moments ago. Who is the devil's advocate? Who are you? Who am I to say, well, Jesus H. bleep, Mary, maybe you just shouldn't have sex. And I take you back to the way the call started with Mary last hour, almost an hour ago. She said, first, it was a difficult call to make. Secondly, I cannot tell you, and this may be totally different from what you feel, but I cannot tell you how refreshing it is for someone to just actually not beat around the bush, not to try to sugarcoat it. What did Mary say when she started? She wanted to know what sex was like. She wanted to have sex. To me, that is pretty damn refreshing. She owned it. And again, if you think because of what Mary shared over the last hour almost, she's going to go to hell, well, I'm not going to convince you any other way. I'm not even going to fight with you about it. That's your feeling? Okay. But she did make me think. And personally, I think In loving variety as much as we do, and we talk about so many different topics, when I tune in to talk radio and something, a caller, an issue, a great host will make me think, I think mission accomplished. We'll wrap up the show. I have no idea how much time we'll have on the other side, but we'll preview tomorrow's show as well. Look, don't turn to credit cards right now in these inflationary times. If you can help it, pay off your debt now. It's more important than ever. And if you're a homeowner, you need cash, call my friends at the Town Group, especially if you're a business owner with large write-offs or self-employed, no W-2s. Melissa at the Town Group specializes in jumbo loans for the self-employed. Silver lining is, with the skyrocketing home values, you may be able now to unlock equity in your home that maybe you have never had access to before. If other lenders have said no, give Melissa 5 minutes to hear your story, because with that equity, she can more than likely get you into a loan. If you've got income to buy but a limited down payment, call the Town Group before you get priced out of the market. 833-MY-JUMBO. That's 833-MY-JUMBO, or towngroupmortgage.com. We've got to take our final break. And if you want to roll the dice, we'll certainly try to get you on 303-696-1971. Thank you, Mary. Steffan Tubbs with you, 710 KNUS.
News Talk 710. Update.
Mostly cloudy, 85 degrees in Denver, going down to a low of 37. Tonight, the 710 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, the CDC is approving the Pfizer COVID booster shot for kids ages 5 to 11. The panel voted 11-1 in favor of a booster for that age group. The FDA approved the booster shot earlier this week. Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers pushing for a veto of the recently passed bill cracking down on fentanyl in the state. He called the synthetic drug a weapon of mass destruction, saying it's one of the deadliest drugs ever made. Suthers says he could have supported the state Senate version, where possession of anything over a gram would have been a felony. The current version has a stipulation where anyone who has between 1 and 4 grams could make the argument that they weren't aware they possessed fentanyl. This update brought to you by Staples Stores. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples Stores or staplesconnect.com. Weather coming in, playing havoc with graduation plans up at Red Rocks. The Chatfield and Columbine High School graduations are moving to the Denver Coliseum, same time as they were scheduled at Red Rocks, 2 and 7 p.m. The 10 a.m. Red Rocks celebration of Evergreen High School, that is still scheduled. 9 a.m. Evergreen High School, 9 a.m. Red Rocks, that will still happen. Avs Blues games 2 tonight at Ball Arena. Puck drop at 7:30 or after the first game on TNT. Dow finished down today, 236 points. Wake up with George Brockler weekday morning, 6 to 10, only on News Talk 710 KNUS, the official station of the 2022 Western Conservative Summit. Roger Cordova.
Well, the Thursday afternoon rush hour is winding down. The heaviest part of your drive is still on I-25 northbound between Santa Fe and 6th Avenue, southbound between Santa Fe down to Colorado Boulevard. Also looking at some slow speeds eastbound I-70 between Quebec over to I-225. I'm Bill Jones.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Staples Stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
It's springtime in the Rockies. We'll go from warm to cold real fast. A winter storm watch is in effect Friday afternoon through Saturday morning. Tonight, cloudy up, turning colder, upper 30s with a chance of showers after midnight. Much colder Friday with rain and thunderstorms likely, mid to upper 40s. Areas of rain and snow turning to all snow Friday night into Saturday morning. Accumulations likely and sharply colder. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty, now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
This is the Cenegenics Health Minute with my good friend, Dr. Tim Watt.
Hi, I'm Dr. Watt from Synergenics. Few things are worse for your health than a lot of sugar in your diet. And one of the biggest sources of sugar in the American diet is soda. They're full of high fructose corn syrup, leading to weight gain and diabetes. Many people try to make a better choice by switching to diet soda. Unfortunately, that doesn't help. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame are toxic to your gut bacteria and disrupt your digestion. The sweet taste of soda just feeds into your addiction to sugar, and it turns out that even without the sugar, the sweet taste triggers your brain to release insulin, the hormone that leads to weight gain. If that weren't bad enough, the carbonation, even without sweetener, causes an increase in the hormone leptin, which increases your appetite. And let's be honest, if you're using that diet soda to wash down French fries, you're lying to yourself. So stay hydrated with real water or unsweetened tea and ditch the soda.
Call Synergenics today at 720-387-3681 or visit denver.synergenics.com.
Are you ready to retire? Inflation is picking up, the markets are volatile, and the dream of a comfortable retirement is harder to attain than ever before. The stock market goes up and down is beyond your control, but you're at a point in your life where you can't afford to make big financial mistakes. I'm Al Labaroa, founder of Knight Strategic Wealth. Our investment strategy allows you to go up with the stock market, lock in your gains, and when the stock market goes down, your investment won't lose a dime. This works for your investments, savings at a brokerage firm, or even money at a bank. It's simple, it's safe, and that's why savvy investors work with us. Want to learn more? Text FREE to 833-898-0500, and we'll send our retirement readiness kit directly to your phone right now. If you want to help build a retirement portfolio that will go up with the market and literally never lose money, get our retirement readiness kit today and see how this strategy can help secure your future. Text FREE to 833-898-0500. Text FREE to 833-898-0500.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Listen live on Odyssey.
Now, back to Steffan Tubbs. News Talk 710, KNUS.
I know we will never get rid of abortion completely. If people on both sides of the abortion debate would have such wonderful discussions as you just had with Mary, this world would be such a better place. Having an abortion is not an unforgivable sin. Kudos to Mary and you, Mr. Tubes. Thank you very much for that, Mr. and Mrs. Texter. This one. Too many people like to rush to judgment, makes them feel better about their own sins. Mr. or Mrs. Texter, if you were here, I'd give you a fist bump. Great. Text. This one, Mary rocks, hugs to her. Another text. What a brave caller. Steffan, if men could get pregnant, abortion would be legal and free. May I add that there are some idiots out there breathing the same air that we are. They, in fact, think men can get pregnant. This text goes on. If there was a possibility we could get pregnant from having sex, men would have to take things into their own hands. This one. Now it's 4 abortions, and she was the first patient not buying it. You are being super compassionate, though, and that's never wrong. Wait, I thought she got kicked out of the house for being pregnant, and now she's saying she was married with the first child. Let's just say, and this is one of our great listeners, Janet, thank you for the texts. I'm not trying to defend Mary at all. I don't think... Trust me, from what I know of Mary on almost an hour on the radio live, I don't think she needs anybody to defend her. She's doing just fine. Thank you. I also think that maybe we had a little bit of a bad phone connection. Sometimes we were talking over each other. That happens, especially with a delay. I never like to interrupt people unless I really mean to interrupt with people. And some of the morons that call this program, not you, of course, they deserve to be interrupted. Wait, what? What did you just say, you foolio? This one, condoms. Honestly, I consider it extremely irresponsible for a man to not wear a condom unless they are wanting a child. Also find it equally irresponsible for a woman to demand a man not wear a condom, not wanting a child. This one, again, as I read from Steve, please tell Mary how much I admire her courage and respect the difficult decisions she had to make. This one, Mary is a brave woman to come on the air. We'll leave it at that. What we're going to do is, and I'll even put this in the show promo, if you missed our call with Mary, we're going to play kind of a, 15, 20 minutes or so of it tomorrow in the 3:00 hour. You, though, because you're listening to me, you will be able to have this firsthand reminder that later this evening, all of our hours of today's program, commercial break free, will in fact be available for you via podcast, the website, and the app. What a show. Mary, I don't know if you're still listening. I consider you a friend of the program, and I appreciate your phone call. You have made me think. Friends, you want to laugh, get some popcorn. It's corny. It's cheesy. For 1990, it was kind of cool special effects. Our film, you've got one more night to watch with us because in less than 24 hours, clips, trivia, more. We're heading into the weekend. Watching from 1990 starring Kevin Bacon and the late, rest in peace, the late actor Fred Ward. It's Tremors, sponsored by Danny Cash. Danny Cash Hot Sauce, DannyCash.com. Matthew Stein-Kruger, our producer, outstanding job for Roger in the newsroom. Steffan Tubbs saying stay safe and healthy, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. And good night. And remember our troops.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles here to remind you to be sure to log on 710knus.com and click on the Peter Boyles Book Club banner and watch this week's video.